with that number, we divided the classes into the grades into 3 because we want each level should also have something. So one of the problems is the classes are not even enough. So we have 3 classrooms and we have to use those classrooms. So we have divided them into 3. KG 1, 2, and basic 1 in one class. P2, P3 in another class. P4, P5, and 6. And we are handling them. We are not finding things easy. It's very difficult for us, but we are managing. But you okay, man?
Multi-grade teaching is not a choice here. It is a necessity, one that compromises the quality of education and the future of these children.
And frankly speaking, we have not been fair. We have never been fair to these young children. The children are suffering. How can a child sit on the floor to write? Some, even we have to buy mats for them to be able to sit so that they will be a little bit clean.
The recent delivery of textbooks to Sachilbo DA Basic School offers little solace when the lack of desk leaves these books vulnerable to wear and tear.
With the textbooks, if you don't have any a sitting place, with the textbook, these children, they are young. They are not like grown up like us. We can hold and write. They are small. We are teaching them. But with the textbook, how would they write? So at least they should come to our aid.
The school feeding program is a lifeline for education, providing meals that boost enrollment, keep children in school, and help them focus on learning. Unfortunately, pupils at Sachilbo DA Business School go through their day on empty stomachs with hunger, competing against education and causing enrollment to decline.
The school feeding, which will have also helped to increase the enrollment, I and my head, we applied. Still, we have not heard any information about it. We're also planning to even mobilize ourselves to see if the community can help. Then we'll do some gardening for the school. When we harvest, then we'll be using it to do porridge for the children in the morning. That will also help them to come. Okay, you are welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, we need teachers.
I'm a native of this community. But recently I completed my education in Iba. From there, after that I completed my education, I said, no, let me come back to my first station or my old school to help my junior brothers so that they can also be well educated from me.
Joshua's story is one of hope and sacrifice, but even his addition cannot fill the gap left by a shortage of professional teachers.
On the average, most of our primary schools have less than 4 teachers. On the average, most of them have 2 teachers, 3 teachers. The school that we could say is very lucky will be in Tatale Township here, maybe about 5 teachers, the primary school. So that's how bad the staffing situation is.
And I doubt how a class 1 child can learn class 3 subjects. And they all learn the same thing. So it means the lower ones are being polluted because they can not even pronounce 2-letter words. How can they be writing the sentence to read the whole sentence?
Claire, please pay attention.
For these children, the future seems uncertain. Poor infrastructure and inadequate staff have created a crisis that demands urgent intervention.
The children themselves are quite cooperative, but for some time now we are also trying to also involve much attention from the parents so that they will help together with us to bring the children to board. Though they are all doing well and then they are cooperating, but the academic aspect is also low at the moment. That's for my experience. I've seen that they need a lot. And when I came, I also tried to find out why it is this way. I got to realize that they were insufficient infrastructure activities that will support the children to pick up the knowledge they needed.
These children represents the promise of tomorrow.
Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner.
Where Duraplas goes, water flows.
PS Industries has introduced a new roofing system known as Colorlink Plus.
Flamingo paint, simply superior. Syntax tank, are you strong? Are you tough?
Cherry Tree Properties. We develop spaces as though we were going to occupy them.
Wednesday, August 6, 2025. Ghana lost 8 patriots in a tragic helicopter crash en route to launch a bold initiative against illegal mining, Galamsey. Ministers, military officers, and party leaders, united by duty, silenced by fate. This Newsfile special is not just a tribute, it's a reckoning. How do we honor the gallant 8, not just in words, but by drawing the red line in the Galamsey fight? And by the rivers we save to save lives from what we have long agreed threatens our very existence. They died in service. We must honor them by living in purpose. This is Newsfile. It's a special edition. I'm Samson Ladia Nyanini. We'll be right back.
When we connect, everything is possible. Whatever seems unreachable becomes even closer. Building partnerships. Redefining the norms. Because when we connect, being there becomes possible, and new ideas come to life. Stay ahead and stay connected with MTN Business Broadband. Superior internet solutions that drive your dreams. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh or call or WhatsApp 0244 308 111.
MTN.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
So, Charlie, the deal there, I almost get her.
Syntax pipe, as tough as it can get.
You get so sorry with your back, sorry. Oh, what you was a thing. What the cat never won. You can catch it. Hey! Na ampai
between and fire and carbon.
Hey, madam, pipe menu.
Hey, Syntax pipe. Me tono, omo catch am say ne ho den pa. Say ye fie, say ye foam. The pipe we bia eye ne gam.
Syntax pipe.
Why leaky?
Come, madam. From today, Syntax pipe in my pipe. No two ways.
When you know, pipe ben abe use.
SINTEX pipe.
Syntax pipe.
No wahala.
Hi, now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park. Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park. Our electric shuttle pulled up and in no time our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the Eco Park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown crane, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults? This price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It has been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
Let's talk hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids are normal structures located in the anus of all mammals.
But it is only man who suffers hemorrhoidal disease because of the erect posture we have assumed and the squatting that we do to empty our bowel. Hemorrhoids consist of a special type of blood vessels which fill with blood when we are moving our bowel and help to cushion the anus against the force of transmitting the stool. Afterwards, they empty their blood, collapse, help seal the anus to maintain continence. Over time, these vessels lose the elasticity of their walls, become dilated, permanently filled with blood, leading to congestion of the hemorrhoids. The symptoms of hemorrhoids are bleeding and prolapse of the hemorrhoids when passing stool, itching and feeling of warmth in the anus and anal discharge. Laser, ligature, and longo are the modern, minimally invasive, most effective, and painless methods of treating hemorrhoids today.
Winterba Hospital, first Ghana Colorectal Center, in to serve a peculiar health need.
VIP. Magnetic perfumes.
because World Bank themselves claimed they could not have that $700 million for government of Ghana to execute the project, and they did that. But let me come to the Commander Sugar Factory.
Before you come to the Commander, you haven't said what you said you set out to do.
That
the President said, this will be the single largest investment ever made by any government in the northern sector of the country.
And the President went ahead to talk about the fact that he is executing it. And it's important you talk about that, Samson.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about executing it. We had just said,
I read the statement.
The President said this will be the single largest investment ever made by any government in the northern sector of the country. Yeah. And you said that was untrue.
That is false, Samson. I'm saying this because I read.
You haven't shown that
Samson,
it is false.
I read the statement.
What other project?
Other project? Can I explain?
No. Just don't waste time. What other projects will equal this in the northern sector?
Samson, you see, you it's like you said your own question. You demand to me how I answer the question.
I said the question,
Samson,
yes.
But I'm answering the question. And what I'm saying, I read the statement the President made. The President said that this will be the single largest project ever to be executed in that northern sector, and that it was the NPP government that was executing. And I say it's false. It's false.
It's false that they are executing it.
They are not. The idea, please, can I finish?
Which government is in power? Which party is in power?
See, Samson, let's try to be honest and sincere. Is that like when President Mills was commissioning the N1? President Mills was commissioned, but he knew that the project was started under President Kufuor's
administration. We have a different.
It's not a different.
We have two different understanding of execution.
Perhaps we may. But I'm saying that for the President to go ahead and say that this was what the NDC government has done because of their concerns of the people of the north, I'm saying it's not true. You came and met a project that was started by the NDC, executed. You can take credit for executing. Please. I'm not talking about executing Pualu. I'm saying the feasibility studies, the amount of money that was supposed to be procured was done by the NDC, by the World Bank.
The loan for the 993 million. Hold on. Sorry, the 993 million dollars was procured by the NDC.
Is he the one asking me the questions, or you ask me the questions?
So can you just answer?
I have just told you that the total amount of money for the project was $700 million.
And this was procured.
Can I finish?
This was procured.
Can I finish?
Can you answer me?
I am answering you.
Yes.
But allow me to answer you.
The answer is yes or no. Was it procured?
How do you procure money to execute projects like that? Has the money been procured for the execution of this project? Is that what you are suggesting?
Yes. And Sino-Hydro is part.
I'm not talking of Sino-Hydro. I'm saying this one. Has the money been procured?
This one, Sino-Hydro is part of it.
Because the World Bank had agreed to extend the amount of money for us to execute this project.
So what happened in 2008?
Can I answer the question?
The President said the cost of the project amounting to US dollars 993 million. The cost will be borne entirely by government.
True.
And will be executed under an engineering, procurement and construction contract by Sino-Hydro, and will be executed in 50 months.
Samson, I am saying that when you make a statement and create the impression that this is something that is supposed to be done by the NPP government because we care so much about you, that is the point I am making.
The issue in contention, which you said was false, was that this will not be the largest single largest investment in the northern sector.
Samson, please. I wasn't making the statement in relation
to
what
you said was false.
That's your understanding.
That's the only statement that was made at the time.
I said that it is false to say that this is the...
My friend, don't do this.
I shouldn't do what?
That was the only statement made at the time you were challenging.
Do what?
I shouldn't do what? That statement did not include President claiming it for him or his party. Of course. It was that this would be the single largest investment in the northern sector.
Can I answer you?
You haven't proven that it was false.
The point I am making has to do with the fact that this is not the first time that project is supposed to be executed. And I have indicated to you that the drawings have been since 1964. And I've also indicated...
The public seems to have a lot of faith in Martinamidu.
Yes.
For good reason, because he went to procure this judgment for the state. Other than that, we may not have been chasing after any money at all. Now, he got this money for the state. Sorry, that is true.
It's true.
There was no any effort to go at him.
It's incontestable.
Martin Amidu was instructed by
the High Court was instructed by the
presided over by Justice Amadou Tanko
ordered that the state should pay him only the first tranche, 17 million. We paid him all the 3 tranches in full.
Your anger is not going to turn the truth.
You see,
your anger is not going to turn the truth.
I'm not angry. I just want you to stop the unnecessary interference. It doesn't help. He was instructed by the president to continue with the processes that were pending in the commercial court, which was after Betty Grison's realization later.
He was
when it was too late that we had paid by way of a mistake. So go to the commercial court
and get that. And do what?
Supreme Court.
Go to commercial court and
fight that case.
So the
Supreme Court was his private initiative.
Yes.
Thank you.
But don't present.
You cannot change that fact.
You can also not change the fact.
All you wanted to do was should I leave this show for you to host?
Please, if you would, why not? But I won't allow you.
No, I don't think.
I won't allow you.
No, Omani, you are not.
Listen.
I'm not spewing any nonsense.
What you are saying is not the truth.
You are wrong.
Martin Amidu was first instructed by the late
I know the facts as a judge.
You can't know the facts as they are better than I do.
Sorry.
Martin Amidu,
I'm not an ignorant judge.
You don't know it better than I do. The mere fact that you have never discussed this great issue right here.
But we didn't know.
You will not know.
I knew what you
will not know.
Okay.
You will not know.
Anyway, let's have a conversation. No, I'm used to this.
You are not used to it.
I'm used to it.
Let there be some fairness here. Let there be some sincerity. Martin Amidu has lied at least 3 times. You are not interested in putting him on air.
Listen here.
Put Martin Amidu on air. Call him now.
Omani, if you will not stick to the rules, you walk out of the studio.
My brother.
Omani,
stop. Stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing.
No.
Just stop it.
No.
Yes, but please, you are being unfair. Let's see some sincerity here.
No.
Let's see some fairness
here. I don't know what the fairness and sincerity is about. I don't know what.
You don't present Martin Amidu as a matter.
I'm not one of those ignorant people who present anybody as anybody. Please, don't do that.
No, it's not true.
Please.
Mike Sampson, for indulging me. I had to move right from a funeral right to this place because I heard Dr. Srebo Kweku trying to explain, and if listeners do not really know the background to this, they are likely to be swayed. I want you to ask Dr. Srebo Kweku right now, when did the theft take place at the EC headquarters?
Why does that matter?
It matters. When?
Okay. When did this happen?
So like I said, we are preparing the BV. This is a whole question.
Oh yes. So that when we started, I think I started it.
Yes, you were doing end of life.
No. When we started preparing them for the registration, but in the course of that, when you opened, we read that 5 of them were not there.
Okay.
When? Oh, we started about a month ago.
So it was just a month ago.
Yes, about a month ago. Immediately we detected it. We knew who are those who are supposed to be handled. They've handed them over to the national security.
Okay. When were the people arrested?
Immediately we gave the information to the national security. They picked them up. So you can check from them. They picked them up.
No. So they were arrested because you should know. So they were arrested about a month ago.
Yes.
Very good. Please, I'll call for this recording. Because as we investigate this matter, we will get to know when the theft I took.
Let's hear your contrary. You're welcome back. And you just heard Murtala Mohammed and Omani Boama. The two of them are friends. I've known them since, first degree. And I remember being part of the General Assembly of the SRC of the University of Ghana when we were in our final years, and there were difficulties with Omani being considered for a student leadership job he was seeking, and we held the power at the General Assembly. At the time, we exercised the discretion. Was it in favor of him as against John Kuma, who is also late. Just recently, I have come under national security protection because of some of the ugly politics. You just make comments, you are interrogating issues, and some people feel the way to deal with you is to attack and harm you. And he took such interest in the national security protection that I am offered. And almost on a daily basis, wanted to know how things were. And he was so supportive. I'm talking about Omanibuama here. We just met, just a couple of weeks ago, had very interesting discussions. Murtala Muhammad, we had some discussion not too long ago because he was finishing up his PhD and at the Political Science Department, and I was also struggling with mine at the law school as in the University of Ghana. And I was just giving up. I was telling him, I don't have time for it. I don't think I can do it. After doing 2 years and having done my comprehensive, and he was giving me how to get around it. I was telling him I'm just tired. I'm not interested anymore. So it's been very difficult. And I'm going to try to moderate the show for you because I think what they deserve from me and from all of us is that they would not have died in vain. They died in service. We must honor them by living in purpose. Let's do a bit of a little, flashback from the 6th on Wednesday till yesterday. And today is a day that the president's declaration of a national mourning comes to a close in the evening. But of course, that will not be the end of it. So let's watch these clips. I return to engage my guests.
So, Charlie, the deal there, I almost get her.
Syntax pipe, as tough as it can get.
You get so sorry with your back, sorry. Oh, what you was a thing. What they can't never want you with your Hey! Na ampai
utina yanka pai yanka bo
eh madam pai benye
eh Syntax pipe metono omu ka tram se ne ho den pa se ye fie se ye fom de de pipe ye bia eye ne gam
Syntax pipe
why eliki
come madam from today Syntax pipe in my pipe no two ways
winyina pipe be na be use
SINTEX pipe
Syntax pipe
ile kai water no hala.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
Best Brain Publication is an educational publishing firm with an in-depth knowledge in the new standard-based curriculum. We deliver quality content by investing in authorial skills and editorial refinement. Our team of experts have meticulously developed books in all subject areas.
Yes, I did it! Dudu, how did you do it? I used the best way book to connect the computer. Oh, that's my ball!
All our books rest on 6 broad core skills: creativity and imagination, student leadership, citizenship, critical thinking and problem solving, digital literacy, collaboration and communication. For preschool, we have literacy, numeracy, phonics and writing. For kindergarten, we have literacy, numeracy, our world and our people, creative arts, phonics, writing and picture reading. For basic 1 to 6, we have mathematics, science, English, our world and our people, computing, history, religious and moral education, creative arts, Asante Chi and Equiapim Chi. For basic 7, 8 and 9, we have mathematics, science, religious and moral education, social studies, creative arts, career technology and computing. And we also have questions and answers for all subjects. We have provided links and QR codes under the various topics in our books to link to the world and find out what other people are also learning. Contact us on 0507 200 200. Best Brain Publication. Tomorrow's education today.
Have you been to Aqua Safari lately? Let me share my experience with you at the new Aqua Safari Resort. When you arrive, you're greeted by warm smiles and introduced to your 24-hour butler who already has your itinerary sorted. Enjoy water sports activities like jet ski rides, kayaking, water sliding, flyboarding, and castanet fishing. You can even have your lunch here on the boat cruise. Experience horseback riding, tennis, and some golfing amongst a host of other activities. Let the tour guides take you through the sceneries of the Volta River, the mangrove forest, the friendliness of the animals, local and exotic birds, while you pet and feed them. You can have this large space for your conferences, corporate retreats, and so many activities as part of the package. We chose to have our breakfast with a beautiful sunrise right in front of our cabin. We had an amazing experience and I can't wait to return for more.
Visit Aqua Safari Eco Resort in Ghana, bringing you closer to nature.
Smile, Look lively, okay? Smile, smile. Is the money too small? A bad stomach ruins your day. Don't let it. Take Gastron, your most effective antacid for the relief of symptoms of peptic ulcer, heartburn, gas pain, flatulence, and indigestion.
Hey guys, what are you waiting for? Let's go, let's go.
Mwah. Can you bring down the smiles more?
Gastron, effective relief from stomach discomfort. Manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Government regrets to announce the demise of the following persons in the tragic crash. Dr. Edward Kofi Omane-Boamah, Minister for Defense. Alhaji Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Muhammad, MP, Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. Alhaji Muniru Muhammad Lemona, Acting Deputy National Security Coordinator and former Minister for Food and Agriculture. Dr. Samuel Sapon, Vice Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, and Mr. Samuel Abuaji, a former parliamentary candidate. Squadron Leader Peter Bafemi Anala, Flying Officer Manin Chum Ampedu, and Sergeant Ernest Ado Mensah. The President and government extends our condolences and sympathies to the families of our comrades and the servicemen who died in service to the country. All flags are to fly at half-mast until further notice. Thank you.
Frantic efforts by the emergency service providers with the support of national security recovered charred remains of all 8 persons in the wreckage. But the journey to the scene did not come easy. The team trekked for hours, navigating the deep forest and meandering through the slippery and slender routes.
So since morning that we have been under frantic efforts to retrieve the bodies of the ministers and also some delegation that were headed from Accra to Obuasi. It's taken us about an hour and we still haven't been able to reach to the scene where this particular incident happening. And in fact, the efforts by the Regional Security Council to actually retrieve these bodies, in fact, is one that is very tiring and Herculean. But we'll still try and manage and go and see for ourselves what really happened.
Deep in the thick Dampia Range Forest Reserve, the helicopter bound for Boise reportedly crashed into one of the trees, killing all persons aboard. All 8 persons, including Defense and Environmental Ministers Dr. Omane Boamah and Murtala Mohammed, were confirmed dead. Kojun Tiamwa is an eyewitness. Because the helicopter was closer to the ground, I looked at it cautiously. At a few seconds, I heard a loud noise and I reckoned it could be the helicopter. I rushed to the scene and called out for people to tend to the incident. After at least 2 hours of walking, the bodies were retrieved from the helicopter wreckage.
We understand these are the charred remains of the 8 persons who were crashed in the helicopter scene.
Deputy Regional Security Coordinator for the Ashanti region, Ivan Bilson-Asari, tells Joy News a forensic analysis is needed for easy identification of victims.
Ours is to evacuate the bodies from here to the morgue or probably the hospital where probably a postmortem and other examinations can be done to identify, because you were there, you also saw them, they were bent beyond recognition. So I think we have to employ scientific means to identify those bodies and see who is who before it can be released to the respective families.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel. Thanks, Kweku.
A trumpet sounds solemnly through the ceremonial gardens of the Jubilee House. A cloud of grief and deep sorrow hung in the air as the nation mourns. The president appeared visibly emotional, at times wiping away tears. The vice president and chief of staff also struggled to contain their emotions. Government appointees, party executives, members of parliament, and ordinary Ghanaians have all gathered here in a united show of respect and mourning. As part of the ceremony, flowers were laid and candles lit in memory of the 8 persons. The 2024 flag bearer of the People's National Convention, PNC, Bernard Mona, shared a deeply personal moment revealing that his son had been scheduled to present an idea to the late Minister of Environment. But fate, he said solemnly, had other plans.
And see, my son, where is Maliri? Murtala was scheduled to meet my son yesterday, not today 9:30 a.m. for a presentation that they have on plastic waste and also on STEM education. So they had prepared to come and meet, because Tuesday he was supposed to meet them last week and they didn't come on. They were ready to meet him and they didn't. And I have said at many platforms, possibly if Omane had picked my call yesterday, given our connection, he would have requested that I join him in the flight so that we can have a conversation. When he's done, then we can talk and come back. And God decided that he should go. So in terms of integrity, service to nation, they have distinguished themselves.
Political science lecturer and CEO of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Professor Ransford Jampo, also shared a deeply personal connection. He said the late Defense Minister Dr. Omane Boamah was the one who encouraged him to accept a government role. He added that he supervised the dissertation of the late Environment Minister Murtala Mohammed.
I have a personal relationship. He was one of the reasons why I accepted the offer to serve in this government. Anytime there's a program, he will call me. Look, there's a program, make sure you attend. And when you go, make sure the old man sees you. I said, but I don't like that. I mean, a lot of people would want to go greet the then candidate Mahama after the program. And I usually would want to. I said, no, make sure he sees you. And he keeps talking to me about some of these things. He kept talking to me about some of these things and all that. It's a great strategy. It's very smart, very intelligent, very resilient, strong-willed person. And above all, he's a human being, or Nipa. So I'm very much pained. We assisted and supervised the PhD dissertation of Murtala. Yes. I was one of his supervisors first day. I later became the lead supervisor of his dissertation. And he completed last year, graduated last year, producing one of the best dissertations, PhD dissertations in the political science department. A very kind-hearted person.
Deputy CEO of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Gilbert Agri, popularly known as Abeku Santana, shared a very personal story about his childhood memories with Dr. Omane Boamah.
All of them. Honorable Omane Boamah is my mate. We both grew up from Koforidua. We all completed sixth form the same year.
Right. This is Newsfile. It's a special edition, and we have illustrious citizens joining us to pay tribute to the fallen heroes, 8 of them. And then, as we pay tribute, there are questions to answer. There are matters to be deliberate about and to be purposeful about so that they would not have died in vain. My guest this morning, Dr. Joyce Rosalind Aye, is Executive Director, Salt and Light Ministries. Professor Bafor Ajimandua is former UN Senior Governance Advisor. Dr. Tony Edu is former Ghana Ambassador to the Netherlands. Hassan Tampuli is right here in the studio. MP Gushon and Deputy Ranking Member, Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament. Also here in the studio is Colonel Festus Abuaji, retired author, conflict and security analyst. Dr. Pet Paul Wapeba is president of the Ghana Academy of Forensic Sciences. We have Ernest Kofi Abochi, professor, dean of the UPSA Law School. He's one of them who has been saying that we must make sure that they did not die in vain, and that this is an opportunity or a time to declare zero tolerance and be sincere about it, and not only declare but act zero tolerance for galamsey, illegal mining, and to stop it once and for all in honor of the Galant 8. Kwame Sefakai is host Kokroko Morning Show, Peace FM. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for making time this morning to be here on Newsfile.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Right. So, maybe I start with Colonel. I've seen you, Hassan, go around. You went to lay a wreath, accompanying Dr. Bawumia. I've seen you go around, go to the homes of some of our friends who are falling. But let's begin with Kanafesa Sabwaji. Yeah. Yes, Kana.
Thank you, his learned friend Samson, and my compliments to fellow panelists in the studio and those who are not here with us. Of the 8 who perished in the tragic circumstances of the 6th of August, there are 2 that I'll say I know, or that I've met. Okay. The other 6, I've never met them in life. The 2 are the Minister of Defense and his colleague, the Minister of the Environment?
Right.
Yes. The Minister of the Environment I met probably in this studio, and then elsewhere, I think on TV3 set. That's how well I know him. Apart from that, it's only through the TV sets. The Honorable Minister of Defense, I got to know during the campaign when he was being, projected as the election, guru for the NDC.
Right.
When he took office as the Minister of Defense, I wished him well. And then there was an issue, I wouldn't go into the details, which concerned me a lot. And I thought that he was somebody who would have listening ears. So I wrote a memo and requested, audience with him, which he granted. I think that was 24th of June. So that was the first time I met him in person. When he invited me into his office, although I'm retired, I still know a bit of regimental traditions. So I expected him, or was expecting him, to sit on the right of the sofa, right side, and then I was going to sit on the left. He said no. I prompted him, and he said no. I should sit on the right, and he was going to sit on the left. I believe that was a mark of humility. But then a photographer came in, and he asked him to go and come back later. So at the end of our discussions, when the photographer returned, he then requested me to sit on the left. And then he was going to sit on the right, because that was going to be an official presentation of the... Recently, in the wake of this escalation at Boku, and I think you know that I'm a bit, concerned about the Boku crisis.
You've written, you've spoken.
Yes. It dawned on me that we were failing in one aspect of our national strategy in resolving the Boku conflict, which was the complete absence of a communication strategy to support both the military deployment and the negotiations or mediation by the Asantini and other government efforts. So once again, I wrote a communication strategy and then informed him that I wanted to share that with him, not necessarily to go and see him.
Okay.
So he kindly took it. But the communication strategy was couched in the context of our national security strategies. Foremost, national cohesion. And I saw Boku as a crisis that could divide the country. Because of that, he said he was going to share it with the National Security Coordinator. And I said, no, please. I mentioned national security strategy because that is the context in which the Boku crisis is situated. And that was meant for his office, although he can share it with him. So he said, fine. So I was hoping that in the course of time, I was going to see this strategy being rolled out. Of course, as of now, I still don't see any sense of a government or national communication strategy. And then, as fate will have it, on a Wednesday morning, as I always do, I start with one of your sister stations. When they end, I migrate to another one, and then I end up with another one, which starts a bit late. Before 10 o'clock, the news, I think, broke that there had been, they didn't say it had crashed. They said a helicopter was missing.
That's right.
You know, we know the history of the rest of the story. So I think it's a tragic loss. I mean, to have two ministers of state and all the others in their respective positions and roles. Last night I computed the collective service of the service personnel. It's 32 years collective experience.
The three of them?
Three of them. From the squadron leader to the flying officer to the sergeant. 32 years of collective experience is a very scarce, commodity that we have lost.
I'll return to you when we have to ask a number of questions, because you have prompted a certain knowledge that we would need to help the public to appreciate, because already some of the unfortunate commentary suggesting that somebody didn't know their left from their right and they were being given, an aircraft to handle. I don't know what's wrong with this country, eh? Anyway.
But if you may permit me just to wish them restful peace in the embrace of the Lord, and sincere condolences to the bereaved families. I'll return to other aspects of the manner in which they departed.
Right. You extend condolences to their families, and I see, Prophet Juandrea, like when you hear from presidents who are sending in their condolences, who are sympathizing with the country, they begin either by isolating the president, then they go to the government, the people, and then the families. President Akufo-Addo's statements, Dr. Bawumia's statement, you read from your former boss, President Kufuor. All of them appear to have this trajectory. First, what do you think? Is it because they are watching the president and everybody is seeing the burden on him? He, his wife, almost everybody.
Well, let me associate myself with my good brother here in terms of his comments. Certainly, this tragedy is a national one. And we tend to isolate the president because he's the leader of the country. These unfortunate souls that have departed were appointed by the president. So he must be the chief mourner, so to speak. And I think you have seen it all. If you saw the initial ceremony, how the president, and especially the first lady, how they could not control themselves. And of course, all the people I've seen, and interestingly, this is not partisan. Across board, religious backgrounds, political backgrounds, regional backgrounds, everybody's affected by that. And president is the chief mourner. So I'm not surprised that in sending messages of condolences, we will isolate the president, the government, and the people of Ghana in this instance. Let me say that the president has done very well in terms of comporting himself in the face of this tragedy. And the brief statement he made the second night of this tragedy, I think was quite on spot.
rallying us together to meet this adversity in unison. It should bring us together, not to divide us. So I think he harped on all the relevant issues. Unlike my good friends here, I've known these people, especially the two ministers, for years since they entered politics under the late Professor Mills. And I can tell you, these are two individuals whose potential was never limited. Looking to the future, personally, I feel that perhaps they could have emerged into some kind of greatness in our country just by the sheer power of their speeches, their dedication to work, the commitment that was shown in many different ways. Of course, Murtala, who doesn't know Murtala? And I followed the banters you've been having with him. If you are not careful, you might think he's too partisan, but the guy is just passionate about what he believes to be true. It is this passion, together with Dr. Omane Boama, that I think put them up front in most of the things that their party did. I think Ghana as a whole has lost real assets. Of course, the party they helped, they were quite strong in helping the party to gain power. But I look beyond that and look at their role in the country in terms of how they were all anxious to get this country to where it deserves to be. And their tragic end certainly occurred one day on their way on a major national assignment. An issue that pressured the previous government, people might even say leading to their disastrous defeat. It's an issue that consistently being pushed by all those of us who care about the future of this country. They were going to introduce an initiative that hopefully will begin to mitigate the challenge of Galamsey, and that's how they made their deal. So it's a sad day.
So at a point, the questioning I'll be asking all of you is to tell me and tell our viewers one thing that you are contemplating ought to be done to immortalize them, if you believe that they ought to be immortalized. Yes, Hassan. In your case, you were also in Parliament with Murtala, and we are peers, and we've all grown up together and been friends.
Something, like you rightly said, we shouldn't have been in this studio discussing our brothers. So we should be at home with the rest of the family. But here we are supposed to speak to some of these issues.
Okay, give me a minute. I'll return to you. You pause, give me a minute. I'll return to you. Let me bring on Professor Kofi Abochi, who is Dean of the UPSA Law School. Prof, thanks very much for joining us. How did you know any of these 8, individuals, and what will be your tribute?
Well, good morning, Samson, and good morning to my colleagues. It's a devastating day, it's a devastating moment, a devastating week. I had just returned to the country. At the immigration point, I met someone I was conversant with, who obviously realizing that I'd been airborne for some time was out of the news. So he asked me whether I'd heard about news. And naturally, like everyone else, my heart was troubled immediately, even without knowing what the details were. But very quickly it became clear to me that Ghana had experienced a shock. And it took me a little bit of time to process it, because the two personalities who were part of the Galant 8, the sad Galant 8, where persons have encountered at various levels, and these were human beings. I would like us to pause for a minute and remember that they are humans. We should humanize them. Because very often when people die or perish in a tragedy involving other people, especially when numbers are involved, we tend to we tend to put them in statistics, and we take away their humanity, and we'll remember them in numbers. And so we have already started calling them the Galant 8, which is good, which is okay. I will prefer remembering and immortalizing it. But there's a tendency to, in the process, unwittingly dehumanize them and put them in statistics. These were human beings, and these are persons who have touched people's lives at different levels and who have led our country, who are therefore patriots. As we speak this morning, there's a family without a father. There's a home without a son. There's a family without a husband. There are siblings who have lost their siblings. This morning, there are friends who do not have their friends. And so it's a very sad and sordid experience. And particularly for Dr. Omaniboama, whom I had also encountered, just like my colleagues have said, under different settings, too many to remember the specifics. Clearly, he exemplified a sense of decency and humility in public life. His decorum and ability to relate with people at the very simple level, without all the sophistication and sophistry of public life, I think it's a testament and a tribute to his strength as a person and as a human being. Dr. Mutala, equally a great person, someone I've admired in terms of his personal traits, his vision, his desire to rid politics of the perception of corruption. But it's important to remember also, they're not so well-known members of the crew or members of the group who have perished and lost their lives. These were persons who were instructed to fly the plane and who had no choice because they had promised and committed to service. The members of the political party who necessarily may not even have had to be there because it was a state enterprise, but who chose to follow because they had committed to the service of Ghana by reason of political party membership. These are all people who that morning dedicated their lives understanding the risk that was involved in taking off into the skies in a helicopter. So I was particularly troubled, just as you asked back to your question, I was troubled when I heard this, because it just reminded me how often sometimes we underestimate the risk of public life. I think as we criticize politicians for the wrong things they do, and trust me, there are a lot of wrong things they do. And I, like many Ghanaians, are not particularly happy when you see, for example, some politicians driving through traffic and endangering the rest of everybody's life, especially given the fact that the law doesn't even allow the way they go about it sometimes. So yes, there are some things that we can be critical about, but we often underestimate the fact that public service does come with significant risk. And that anytime politicians and anytime public servants assume the mandate to undertake and discharge the responsibilities of their office, they equally risk all kinds of dangers that often we tend to gloss over. And when they suffer the loss, fortunately, the ones who suffer the most, while the country loses them, the ones who suffer the most are the immediate family, in respect of which 8 homes this morning have lost husbands, sons, fathers, among others.
Prof, and I will return to you because I have an idea of what you want the country to do to remember them, because you say they gave up their lives for us to live in an environment devoid of toxins. So, as I told my guests who have spoken already, I return to all of you to briefly state what we make a mistake if we fail to do. Yes, Hassan.
Yeah, so like I was saying,
yeah,
it's a very sad period for us as a nation. And I wish to condole with the President of the Republic and the government and to the individual families who have suffered this terrible loss. You say goodbye to your wife and children, and I'm going to work, I'll be back soon. And never get to return, never get to say goodbye to your friends and loved ones.
May have gotten up when they are not even awake yet.
Yeah, sometimes we leave. Sometimes it takes about 3 days. I don't see my children, or they don't see me. I leave very early in the morning, and I get back so late they are already sleeping. Sometimes I just go to their room, check up on them sleeping, and then the next day I leave again, and that's the routine. And so we are paying. I know all of them individually, except the 7 officers, and then the parliamentary candidate for Boise East. And at different points in time, I've had some engagements with them.
That's Samuel Abuaji.
Mutala and I, so when I went to sixth form, Mutala was in SS3 or SS2 at the time, Ghana School. And our paths continued to cross in Legon and outside of the political arena. Our paths continued to. In fact, he just gave a message to my PA just about a few days before they met on the flight for me. And I had prepared my response for him. And I was hoping to see him on the day that we were going on recess. That was last week, Friday. And I was on the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee tour of various agencies under the Ministry of the Justice and Attorney General's Department. So by the time I go to Parliament, sitting at Benajen, so I couldn't, get to see Mutala to respond to the message that he sent to me. And so here I am. I have the answers to the message, but I can't find my brother. It's gone.
Just a couple of Sundays ago, he called me. He had just arrived from a trip, and he called me over the Galamsey issues. And he was giving me the plan, how he sees things and what he thinks can work, and suggested something that we could even do together to help this country. So, like you, some unfinished business is truncated, so to speak.
And Mutala is a very passionate person.
Very passionate.
Everything that he does it with a lot of passion.
Yep.
So I was very convinced that as far as the Galamsey fight is concerned, Mutala can fight even in Parliament. He can fight his colleagues in Cabinet. He's one person who would take no prisoners when it comes to a certain principal position, no matter who you are. If it comes to his party, if it comes to his country, the northern region, Dagbon, I recall on one occasion, he and I, former Minister for Defense, former Northern Regional Minister, former Minister for Finance, used the helicopters. There was some threat to disturb the peace in the northern region. And so National Security constituted a team for us to go around various hotspots to speak to some opinion leaders. And we went from place to place. We divided ourselves into 2. And so that after everything, we will converge in Tamale and then we will share notes. And at some point, the weather got very bad. And the military said, look, the weather is not looking too good where we were headed, so let's just wait. So we waited for so long at the airport, at the military base in Tamale, until we decided, look, this weather is not good enough for us to be up in the sky, so let's just abort.
Okay.
And we truncated the trip. And I was just hoping that something like that should have happened. And then would have been told that, this trip has been aborted. On the day that they left, on Wednesday, I used to be Deputy Minister for Transport, so I have some, amount of intel on how things go on. And currently I'm deputy ranking on Committee on Roads and Transport. 3 aircrafts took off that day, 3 helicopters, all to the west. So the west, they consider Ashanti part of the west.
Okay.
Western region, central, western, north, and then western region itself. All of them were heading toward. 2 belong to VRA Aviation, piloted by civilians. Now civilian, there's one who used to be a military officer. And then the third one is this particular inflated helicopter. It was the first to take off at 9:12. The remaining 2 headed towards the same direction. One was going to Prestia, and the other was going to, let me see the name of the place, Eduaprim. The one going to Prestia and then the Eduaprim all took off about an hour after the military helicopter took off.
Right.
So it's very likely, very, very likely that as at the time that they were taking off, this first helicopter had already crashed. In the area that it crashed, somehow one made an emergency landing. The one that was going to Eduaprim made an emergency landing at Ejumako. Ultimately terminated the trip and then returned to Accra. The other one was going to Prestia and somehow found a way to do emergency landing at Kokofu. And you know where Kokofu is? Kokofu is in Bekwai Municipal. And Bekwai is so close to Obuasi. And due to bad weather, they had to do emergency landing. Ultimately, they continued, but the other guy returned to base. So we can really do some intelligent conjecture and see that likely one of the possible reasons could be poor weather conditions. Of course, last year we all woke up to sad news of the passing of the Iranian president, who also perished in an helicopter accident, somewhere in the mountainous areas of Iran. So helicopter, when it is in the air, as soon as it leaves the airports, within 10 or 20 miles radius, they lose contact. And it's not like the airplane that you use machine you can have autopilot and so on. But this one, you use natural eye.
Okay.
And because they fly below the cloud, not like the aircraft that fly above, so you can see. So anytime that visibility becomes extremely poor, you have to find a way.
Okay. I'll get back. I understand that this particular aircraft, it's special and it's modern. It was brought to us only 2 years ago or so. And
it was prepared in 2015.
I understand this is not. I understand this is not the one. I understand this is not the one. I understand this is not a 2015 one. And those who are manning it, I understand they man it in the night anyway. So an attempt to quickly zero in on weather may not exactly be appropriate. And as you said, the emergency landing, we have a history where the Ghana Armed Forces have done several successful emergency landing as far as, they have met some situation. Between 2000 and 2025, they have done at least 5 of this landing, and out of all of that, we know the majority have happened without any casualties. Let's go to Dr. Tony Edu. Thank you for joining us. It's been difficult for everybody in this country. I must say. Because I have a doubt that there are people who don't feel, the pain because they don't have any personal connection with these people. Dr. Tony Edu, what do you say?
Samson, good morning, and good morning to your other panelists. Good morning to the whole nation. Samson, to be frank, I had personal connection with only 3 of the fortunate tragic victims. Dr. Amani Buama, Dr. Sapon, and Dr. Mutala. The rest, I don't know. I've been so far away from the front line that there are several up-and-coming, dynamic, young techs. I call them young techs. Even though Rollins called them babies with sharp, very sharp, young techs. Fronting the NBC front line. In fact, the last time I spoke to Dr. Amani Buama was about a month ago. Prior to that, I had sent him messages regarding the conduct of the election. Little things that I felt done, especially when it was strong during the ballot of candidates' positions on the ballot. Amani Buama, anytime I remember, makes me very teary-eyed, same with and Dr. Sapon. But Samson, I'm not here to eulogize, now to pay an apologetic tribute. I must say that mine will be a very tiny voice among the worldwide tributes, lamentations, and eulogies that have come following this avoidable, and I say avoidable, national tragedy. Samson, even though we paid to death, and I believe that it cuts across all cultures that you must eulogize the dead, we must look behind and look for the cause. Why did they die? This is, to me, the most important. Why did they die? People say, oh, the Lord gave us, the Lord took.
He has a bit of expertise.
I say that God did not take. It was we who gave. Gave. By our mistake, avoidable death. Why were they in the air? They were in the air because of the fight galaxy. I'm glad to know that every people who have come to comment on this incident, Kwame Pienim, Kanashigbe, even in your studio right now, some of the commentators have been that about time that brought this calamity menace to an end. President Mahama must kill the calamity before it kills the weapons. We must, this God give. God will not take innocent lives. People die with their habit or by lifestyle or by. Don't let the blame fall with God, especially on such boys death. What is President Mahama waiting? Why the procrastination? People say, impose an emergency executive order. Yesterday, I heard from Pienis, we must ban Galant 3 months. In fact, Samson, my first reaction after the Chief of Staff gave us the details and confirmed the death, was to send a message direct to President Mahama. And I said, these 8 patriotic souls lost their lives in the fight against Galamsey. So for God's sake, Mr. President, don't let them die in vain. Stop the Galamsey now. Stop the Galamsey. That's the best tribute we can pay to these patriotic deaths. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tony Edu. How he's able to say the difficult things in such a difficult time in the way he says it. Thank you very much. Dr. Joyce, I thank you for making time to join us this morning.
I should thank you for having me.
Right. Well, of course, you have also had the benefit of serving on the mines subsector industry for a while, and I don't know. I really don't have any questions really to ask you. What do you want to say?
What I'd like to say is how life is a great thing to do what is right. You know, we've been talking about Galamsey illegal mining for so long. We have taken politics ever, because a river that is destroyed does not know people who have political views and so on. Going forward, farms are going to be, not that going forward. When rivers die, life also dies. So, we must look beyond the money that we will be making, in this short term, and consider what life means to all of us. Why should the Ghana Water Company lose equipment because water is too muddy to turn into drinking water? All these things don't make sense. And nothing, not even money, should drive us to cause such havoc to the nation. And so really we cannot say it is not about stopping people from doing work. It is stopping people who are doing work illegally. And the laws are there. If somebody is illegally doing something, we stop the person. Why would you put somebody in jail who has stolen a goat, and then you keep somebody working? You keep somebody working who is even destroying much more than keeping somebody working. Nothing makes sense except to make sure that we stop illegal mining. We have to stop illegal mining. It does not need this tragedy to draw attention to it any more strongly. And what we honor the life of those who have died. Did they have died? Did they have to die? They didn't. So I think it's time we really looked at the difficulty of dealing with illegal mining and just handling it the way the law and council human to it. Another thing I'd like to mention, the unity of this country should not become important only when there's a national tragedy. It is time to unite. We must unite against Galamsey. We must unite against Galamsey. We shouldn't prop up when it suits us and try to pull it down when it doesn't suit us. If there's any unity this country needs, we need to unite against wrongdoing and unite for the right. That is what we must do. May the eight souls rest.
Now,
we cannot even say that they died saving the country. No. And it's sad that it could have been avoided. So,
okay. Right.
This is what I'd like to say. This country is too important. It's just too important for us to watch while you get destroyed by you. It shouldn't happen.
Right.
Thank you very much for having me.
And hold on, I know those of you who are leaving us, because you're a Reverend Minister, do you mind, saying a prayer? The families of these are friends, and like I have mentioned earlier, some of these people, personal friends, Somane Boama, Mutala, they have wives, they have young kids, very, very little kids. Yeah. Yeah. And I promised myself that I will manage this show in a way that by the time we are done, would have been able to prick the conscience of the nation and get the president and those who must act to do the right thing, rather than, continuing to cry. Every time I have put the television on and seen the pictures, see the president sobbing, seen the first lady crying, see everybody sobbing, I am unable to control myself because I think about them and their families that they have left. Please say a prayer for them. All of us, really.
Right. We pray. Our Father, we come before you with very much light. None of us can say that what happened these people bring joy up. And even in our people, we grieve for our way. We grieve for inner to the right. We grieve for everything come you get. We do not do what right. Give us the name, Lord. That is the question. Thank you for the opportunity you have given to bring end to in the mind. May every clear as dead strengthen the thought to punish one for who out who out one for lead of mind. Never mind what you think. Father and God happy for them. Like how much not even having forgiven the very God unless we be and touch them. Then don't we get to be able with this terrible one. And so we can't get and we plead your man touch their life. Every relative, wife, children, grandchildren, extended family. Some of them are so young that their own parents will be alive. Lord Jesus, you who understand grief, you who cry at the death of your friend, and the helplessness of the people who were mourning, look down with mercy upon us. Raise your righteous right hand. Touch every member of the family who are lost. Dear one. And as a nation, Lord, help us to resolve to do the right so that we can avoid these tragedies. We plead, Lord, we plead, and we ask that you who are eternal in us, speak into our situation, breathe life into our situation, strengthen the president's resolve to uproot illegal mining culture once and for all. And for the rest of us, behind the scenes, who prop up these evildoers, prick our conscience. How much money do we need? How much damage do we do? Help us, Lord. By ourselves, we cannot do it. Let your Holy Spirit, who's our helper, guide our thoughts. Help us to do what we know we must do. And for all those advocating against Galant, Lord, let them know that this is a Kairos moment. You have given us opportunity. And let us stand together, take that opportunity, and do what is right. We thank you for answered prayer. We thank you for answered prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Dr. Joyce. So let me return to the studio. I have guests who are going to be with us until we draw the curtains on this show at 12 noon. Paul, first of all, let's hear your, as it were, preliminary comments before we get to the aspects where you have raised concerns about how the bodies have been handled, how the forensic process may suffer some compromise. Yep, let's hear you.
Right. Thank you, Samson. And I would want to use this opportunity to condole with the families and the entire country as a whole, because for all of us, either directly or indirectly, would have known at least one or two of these 8 people who have died in serving their nation. Personally, I've had to work with Dr. Mane Boama at the 37 Military Hospital when he used to work there as a civilian, employee. Squadron leader Anala is a family friend to the Wepeba family in Tamale. So I should say, on that note, I would want to condole with their families, and for all of us, it's a difficult moment for us, and in times like this, it is difficult for one to be able to actually, put yourself together.
Squadron leader Anala, is he the one who is said, to have lost?
Yeah.
Yes. Sister, and the brother. Lost the brother.
Yeah.
Yes.
All within about 3 months.
The sister died in March. The brother was the officiating minister in June. He also died in June. Was buried in June. And now his sister.
Very tragic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. That said, they were actually going on, a national mission. And I would say they were fighting for the next generation, because environmental degradation is quite obvious to all of us. But what is unseen is the genetic mutations that this canker is passing on to the unborn generations. The heavy metal, pollution, getting into water and causing what is known as cognitive retardation in the generations yet unborn.
I'm wondering the capacity to be able to think properly and take decisions in the interest of the country would be in the next few years to come, because we're not seeing that aspect. All we're seeing is a physical, degradation that everybody is talking about. But this aspect is very important for us to also look at. So I think we should use this as an opportunity to end the Galamsey menace, as everybody is putting it. So it will be a memory of them that they didn't die in vain, but their death has brought an end to the Galamsey.
I'm hearing almost everyone around this table say the same thing, and those who joined us on phone, especially Tony Edu, he says, kill Galamsey now. And the way he felt, I know Tony Edu, and he was even speaking and I could hear in his voice. Yeah. But he says that he reached out to the president, that this must end now. Why do you think it looks so difficult? You're talking about babies being born with deformities. Dr. Sampany and the rest of them have done the research. We have sat on this platform. We have spoken about it over and again. The water company cannot even treat our water anymore. The turbidity levels have grown beyond what can be treated. We are told all our foods are getting poisoned.
That's right.
And yet we can't seem to overcome this. Major Mahama,
exactly.
We sat here, we wept. I didn't know him from anywhere, but watching and listening to what he went through, I just couldn't hold myself. And we said, never again. We are here.
Yes, I think the way the Galamsey menace is, it has a lot of connections. The political aspect, I would say the cartels that are involved and all of that. So it demands a lot of political will to be able to do the needful, to be able to earn it. I don't know whether we've imagined that the heavy metals, when Ghana Water and Sewerage treats the water, they're only looking at the turbidity levels and all of that. And the rest of the water that comes to us, this morning, all of us seated here, we brush our teeth with water from the, from the tap. Yeah. We bath. I'm here to hear anybody who imports water to bath, no matter how rich you are, you have to bath the water that is coming from your tap. You can buy water abroad for drinking and other purposes, but you can't buy it for domestic use. But we're failing to look at all of these angles because the impact is not seen. It is something that is in the future, so we don't tend to look. So I think it is high time we end the talk and try to take the bull by the horn and end this, menace.
Okay. So we are going to move the discussion forward after having heard preliminary comments from all my guests. But as you can tell, for each of them, they can't even make their preliminary comments of giving tributes or commiserations without speaking to that one particular evil. Dr. Edu says this was avoidable. Dr. Joyce Ayi repeated that this was avoidable. Kofi Abochi has been saying that from yesterday. And many of you are sending me messages. Let me give you a sense of some of the messages. Clement Kojo Akapam, he's a lawyer and law teacher. He says, our collective greed and complicity, coupled with our hypocrisy, has brought us here. Stop Galamsey now. He says, Galamsey has 8 letters. We must use this painful tragedy to dismantle the foundations of illegal mining. The 8 gallant men cannot die in vain. Frank Anderson Jr. sends us this from the United Kingdom. Says the death of these 8 innocent souls should bring some ruthlessness to the fight against Galamsey. We have been treating this issue with 2 mini kid gloves, it's time to deploy heavy, fully armed military deployment to round up anybody found mining illegally, create special courts and prisons for expedited trials and convictions. Says the executive, the legislature, and judiciary, for once in our adult lives, must work collaboratively, shoulder to shoulder, to bring sanity to our environment. We face an existential threat. This is not politics. This is national assignments. I have messages, including from Kweku Bako. You know, he had been a regular on this show for a long time. He has been friends with most of these people, particularly at least the 2 ministers. They would have, as we played back some of the clips, you will see that when Mutala, you know, I was engaging him in that banter, Kweku Bako was sitting there. Yeah. When I was engaging Omane Boama, Kweku Bako was sitting right there. Okay. Yes, start with you again, Colonel Festus Abuaji. So I need to know from all of us, what is that thing that you think we must do to honor their memories, which if we do not do, we would have failed?
I think the most obvious one is what a number of the panelists in studio, out of studio have alluded to, Galant. And I want to acknowledge that there are enough great minds here and outside to speak to that. But from the onset of this disaster, I've been concerned about one aspect that has probably been lost in the narrative, and that is our national emergency response. From Apiete, if I'm not mistaken, yes, 2022, about a year later, 2023, the Akosombo Dam spillage, and then now this disaster. It's very clear that although we have the institutions, we don't seem to have a cohesive response mechanism. And why this is very worrisome, of course, Apiete was worrisome because of, you know, the fatalities that occurred, as well as the destruction of lives and livelihoods.
But it looks like a great job was done in rebuilding Apiete.
Well,
right.
That was after the fact.
That's right.
How we responded immediately, for instance. In this one, there are cans called something cocoa bottle. I didn't see the footage, but I heard about it. And by the time I was looking for it, I think the media had been sensitized to pull it out, or pull it off the screens. I cannot imagine that in this day and age, any human being, let alone the caliber of the people who were lost, that their remains will be carried in cocoa sacks. So when you start digging deeper, you ask yourself, what was the response mechanism? I know now, you know, from whatever sources that I have, that the whole response mechanism had at its center national security. But national security alone is not the response mechanism. You need, for instance, the National Fire Service to be part of it. What we call in Ghana the National Ambulance Service, although decentralized, should be part of it. The Ghana Police Service should be part of this response mechanism for this event. Then, of course, the Ghana Armed Forces, and particularly the Ghana Armed Air Force, which operates the machines. Where were the body bags? Could they have been flown by another helicopter and dropped on the treetops for them in a very dignifying manner, not in cocoa sacks? for them to be, put in those zip bags in order to preserve whatever remains there were, and in order not for those remains or fluids, whatever, to contaminate those who were carrying them. It's very, very, I can't imagine how I can explain it. So, God forbid, touch wood, if the president had been on this flight, can you imagine the president of Ghana, whose remains in an air crash, were being carried in a cocoa sack? We need to address our emergency response.
Was that not the immediately available sort of container or cover at a point where the residents were already invading the place and there was no opportunity for the national security and the other institutions you mentioned to get there, because they did not get there first. Later, when you look at the footages, you will see that fire service personnel were there, ambulance people were also there. But as we are told from the program grounds where in Obuasi they were having the launch, it takes
1 hour,
almost an hour to get to that place.
You see, the obvious answer is what you've given. But when we talk about emergency response, if by the computation of the data that I have, this aircraft crashed 45 minutes after taking off at 0912. By about 9:53, thereabout, it had crashed. Now, if this was a time and the missing aircraft message, off-radar message, did not happen at the time that it crashed. It happened maybe a short while before.
That's right.
Now, when that announcement is made, the response mechanism kicks in. If you are a fire service and you've got an emergency information that there has been an aircraft crash, you don't go there, excuse my language, empty-handed. If you are a national ambulance service, knowing that there are going to be casualties, including the injured, you don't go there empty-handed. You go with nurses and medication and equipment to do triage, to offer, on-site medical assistance and so on. Now, the recovery of these bodies, because they were then dead, is part of the emergency response. I am saying that for the purposes of dignity, somebody, national security person who was in the blue shirt, could have told his principals that we have secured the bodies, the remains. Can you please make available some decent material? I mean, assuming that they were in the sacks and they were covered with polythene, that would even have been fine. But if you live this life with all the service that you are doing to your nation, and you are carried in cocoa sacks, and let me use the tree word, cocoa bottle. You see what I mean? And somebody told me, though, it looked like they were carrying banche. You know banche?
It's true.
Cassava. I mean, is that how we treat the gone, those who are leaving us? Now, let me give you another angle of the emergency response.
Would you still have a problem if they had managed to stop the media from filming these bodies remains being in the sacks?
Yeah.
Would you have been okay with that?
Well, if you didn't know, say ignorance is bliss. So once you didn't see the footage or footages, that will be all right.
Okay, tell us about it.
It will be by word of mouth. But the last one is, and I'm asking rhetorically, what psychosocial support, trauma, whatever support, are we providing the family? Because it's part of the emergency response, not only of those who are involved in the crash, but those who are affected, those who are related. The woman who collapsed yesterday when she was going to lay the reef, for instance, and was rushed to 37. Are we paying attention to the circumstances or conditions under which the families are bearing with this disaster? So, broadly speaking, our national emergency response is not up to scratch. And the earlier we address that, the better. Because given the frequency of these disasters, I don't want to be prophetic or whatever, but I look at the frequency, 2020, 2023, 2025, then you add the history of the caseloads prior. We need to be prepared.
In 2015, the flood and fire disaster at Circle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
June 3.
Mm-hmm.
You saw pickups were driven there, people were put in polythene bags, and we saw them being thrown into the polythene bags, charred remains. Doesn't look different.
May 9.
Well, it just confirms that we are still not learning the right lessons, if at all there are any lessons to learn. I find it difficult to believe that 24 hours, 48 hours after the crash, a second helicopter, in fact, in the immediate aftermath of the crash, one would expect that a second helicopter should have been flown to see whether the site could be located. Thankfully, there were persons, locals on the ground who saw it. And I've mentioned national security. Its tentacles, who are human beings in the communities, were the ones who relayed the signal to national security. You know, but how national security coordinated with the other agencies.
A message.
You say it.
I'll bring it.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. I was going to tell you that
would your information be different if you knew that this is the number of serviceable helicopters we have in this country?
So I didn't want to say that.
That's the number of and that helicopter was picking chiefs at the time from Boku to Kumasi with this.
And what you are talking about, which you have shown me earlier, we can't say it publicly,
right? We can't say it publicly.
No, I didn't want to say that. So I was rather
you were looking for helicopters to follow
the fact that no helicopter flew.
You don't have that luxury.
Meant that probably we didn't have one that was serviceable. We have them, but they are not serviceable. Look, before the Honorable Nitu left office, sometime before, I was sitting at home when General Bedakwa invited me at the request of the former minister to attend a meeting at MOD in his office. It was about the state of equipment of the Ghana Armed Forces. All the three services lined up their senior officers to present the state or status of their equipment. And it's not a story that you want to share in public.
You can't.
From the Ghana Air Force to the Ghana Navy, and these are the repositories of, very expensive equipment before you come to the Army, heavy guns and so on. I mean, if the guns are not firing fine, thankfully nobody is going to attack us. But the issues for which we need the Ghana Navy and the Ghana Air Force are always happening. You see what I mean? So maybe like we saying about Galamsey, there's an opportunity also to review the mission readiness of the Ghana Armed Forces. Because look, we know what the Constitution says. The Ghana Armed Forces were set up, if you like, not to carry ministers around. But the job of the ministers is part of what keeps the nation together. So if there are helicopters that are available, which can take them so that their work will be more efficient, that is fine. But then we need to maintain the aircraft.
But the police bought 3 of these helicopters only recently.
Here on your set.
Dampari, right?
Yes, on your set, you remember, you asked, or somebody asked, whether we should not probably have bought drones. Because maintaining a helicopter is not easy. You fly whatever number of hours, 8 hours, I believe. You need to, not 8 continuous hours, but if you log 8 hours, the helicopter must be down for a certain set of checks to be done. Probably these helicopters, or some of them, have reached the stage where they should have been broken down, palleted, and sent back to China for China to do all the overhaul, box them up, bring them to Ghana, and then they'll be assembled. But I think the elephant in the room is what you and I know on social media that we can't talk about in public. All the point I'm making is that our national emergency response mechanisms must be up to scratch. Assuming that we had, other than fatalities, serious injuries, were we going to carry those people on our shoulders, as we call in the army, fireman lift? 45 minutes through the cocoa farm.
Right. So I'm bringing you in shortly. Now, the SACs, some explanation unofficial that we have had was that the condition of the remains, the body bags, it would have bent them or would have melted them, so to speak. I don't know if that's something you can
something
take.
We are finding excuses.
And that the best appropriate thing to do at the time was to use the sacks.
You know, cocoa sacks are jute.
Correct.
Doesn't jute burn when you light the match? Jute will burn. So I think we are finding excuses. Look, some years ago, many years ago, what we call the cookhouses in the Ghana Armed Forces, we used to use rubbish bins, the metallic ones, before we got plastic. That was how we cooked the arm and put them in rubbish bins and serve soldiers. Then one day somebody woke up and said, look, why are we doing this to ourselves? We understand why we should put cooked yam or rice in those rubbish bins, but it doesn't look nice. Before we imported proper containers for, catering purposes. So we must not find excuse. I'm saying that. I mean, if any one of us can imagine that before those pictures were taken off the screen, one of the children of these 8 saw their father being carried in a cocoa sack, how would this child feel? It's like you have wasted your time serving your country. I mean, that's the simplest that I can put it. And you know that at the terminal end of everybody's life, the one thing that is important is dignity. And that is why when people die, even if we are poor, we mobilize all the resources that we can to give them a decent send-off. We don't just dump them anywhere. Of course, even the Muslim tradition is decent. How you are, wrapped up in the white shroud and so on and so forth. We didn't do well. We haven't done well. It's unfortunate that we cannot, recover ourselves from, this sucks, whatever it is. And I'm also asking, what psychosocial support are we giving to the family? I believe all the family members are sitting in their houses with occasional visits. Excuse me.
Okay. Went on the tour yesterday.
Yes.
I think that the points that Colonel Abuaje is raising that's very, very, very important regarding our response, emergency response capacity in this country. Your capacity to respond in an emergency situation is not only just based on human resource, it's also based on logistics, available logistics. Without talking about all the logistics that we have in terms of its deficiency, in this country, one of the reasons why we find ourselves where we are is the fact that we politicize practically everything.
Thank you.
We politicize things to the extent that it hurts us, but we still politicize them. What good is it that you have a fully fledged Ghana Armed Forces and you refuse to tool them? Look, without mincing words, if Togo decides to invade Ghana today, we'll struggle. We'll struggle. Look, all across our neighbors, we probably are the least.
Why are you doing the thing for which we have decided not to review our weakness as far as our fleet numbers, serviceable fleet numbers is concerned?
These are the number of things that you need. The number of helicopters, serviceable that you need at any point in time. I've written them down. I'm not able to say them. These are the number of helicopters, transport aircrafts, fighter aircrafts, all right, presidential jets, and all of that. These are the things that you need at any point in time, at the barest minimum. But any time that we start talking about
at the barest minimum,
on the other side of
the barest minimum, you need
about
6, as we understand.
We'll start screaming. We'll start screaming our voice hoarse. We said, no, we don't need it. We don't need it. We don't need it. When we brought in, President Kufuor ordered the presidential jets before he left office. We decided to take the Falcon, which was a smaller one. And do you know the capacity? Is it 13 or 14, including the crew? Now, there was a bigger one that had also been ordered at the time, about 35 to 50 seater capacity. That one was cancelled. Well, you needed redundancy capacity, so that if the bigger one is, in operation and goes for service, you should be able to rely on the smaller one, not just for the comfort of the president, but for the use of Ghanaians. Ghanaian military troops going on peacekeeping, they can use them. Ghanaian delegation going on different tours across the world. Even the president himself traveling. Sometimes president travels and the media team are stuck somewhere in transit, or other members of his team are stuck in other jurisdictions. But you have a bigger aircraft. Look, Senegal has it, Nigeria has it, all these countries, La Côte d'Ivoire. And when it comes to Ghana, we say, hey, are we that poor? Is it about poverty, or is it about the fact that because somebody else is buying it, no, we shouldn't support? You see what I'm saying? So all these things we know, yet we fight it any time that they come up. Now, who bears the cat? Who has to buy the bullets and take this initiative? When you order these jets, minimum 2 years, that's the minimum. But it can take up to 4 or 5 years. So look, President Mahama can order an aircraft right now, and he may not even sit in it. Same with Nana Akufo-Addo. If he had ordered any aircraft, he was ordering it for this country. And I remember on the floor of Parliament when the Minister for Defense came to make up justification for why we need to replenish and retool the Ghana Air Force. The opposition on the other side of the political divide was fearsome. And that's when we started talking about if the president is taking shower in the aircraft and so on and so forth. You remember all of these things?
Yeah, but
do you know who? Let me ask you a question.
It was okay to complain that he was doing, extravagant private jet flights. If he had done, people were saying he could do economy. People were saying he would do less expensive, jets. I appreciate that.
Look, do you know the president had traveled on equations, and his baggage didn't come. He traveled commercial. The whole president travels and then his baggage didn't arrive. I mean, this is so embarrassing. Now, this particular helicopter, guess who used it the day before? Find out. Who used that helicopter the day prior to the disaster? And guess who?
Who did?
Guess who should have been using it that day? I don't want to know. You understand? Look, these gentlemen have made the ultimate sacrifice. They died in the line of duty. And that's why people continue to condole with the president, because really and truly, these are matters that are within Article 58.3. The president either executes his executive powers directly or indirectly. And so they were discharging all these duties on his behalf at the time. Literally, and in fact, the president was the invited guest at that program. You can imagine the level of calamity that would have befallen this country. Because the president would not travel alone. He would have again been traveling with ministers and then key advisors. Look, let's stop the hypocrisy. Thank you. Let's stop the hypocrisy. Let's recognize that we are building a nation. We are not building a nation for one individual. We are not building a nation for one party. MPP was in power a year ago, Today, who is in power? And you have taken power, you've taken charge of all assets and liabilities, including if we had all this retooling that we needed at any point in time. So really and truly, we need to have a national conversation about this matter. And it has to be dispassionate, non-partisan, and nationalistic in outlook, so that at any point in time, we are battle ready. Look, this Falcon that we are talking about, where is it? How does the president travel? The president travels with his brother's aircrafts. Is that the ideal situation?
The aircraft that has flown the remains to South Africa.
Exactly. So if his brother didn't have an aircraft, what was he going to travel on? What was he going to travel on?
Something, a quick one.
I
have my own personal views about presidential jets and so on and so forth, but this is not the time for it. But I want us to remember ourselves, the great book that you wrote about our former President Kutuwe Champong. For all the time that he ruled this country, he never flew anywhere.
I did.
There are rumors that, or anecdotes that some fetish told him not to do that. He went the breadth and length of this country by road.
By road.
The situation, and at the time, we didn't have the communication technologies that today we have. That when a president is traveling, he can still be in touch with everybody around the world. Fortunately, at the time, our roads were much, much better than today. So even if we ground all our aircraft and say no minister after this should go anywhere by air, where are the roads? We don't have the roads. We don't have our waterways. We don't have our, air capabilities. So what do? What are our priorities?
Okay. So I'm come to the two other guests who are right here in the studio to speak about matters of some lapses with the forensic process, and also Professor Ajmandia will also continue the discussion on, and remember, each one of them is telling us the one thing that they think ought to be done to immortalize, our friends. Let me go on the phone lines now. Let me talk to Kwame Sefakan. Kwame Sefakan is a veteran broadcaster. He has hosted, perhaps, but for the crew, he would have hosted these men many times. Some of them, he would have had closer friendships and relationships with. Kwame, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Samson.
Right.
And good morning to the other panelists.
Right. How are you processing, what has happened, and what are you thinking about?
Samson, I'm shaken, but I'm alive. You use the right to process it. It doesn't make sense to me, but it is what it is. And I still have this very heavy feeling in my belly about what has happened, and asking myself questions. Samson, it could have been me, it could have been you.
Right.
Imagine if I was MC for the event, or you were MC for the event, and our friend Omanepo and our friend Mutala had said, join me on the chopper. Could have been us. And since Wednesday, I was in a meeting on Wednesday late morning at about 11ish, going on to 12, when the person I was having the meeting with says, I have an appointment at 4 p.m. And then we're just talking. And then barely 20 minutes after he said that, I got the news. This was just before noon or thereabouts. And I said, you have a meeting with Mutala. I am getting conflicting reports right now. And this is what has happened. He says, oh no. Then he opens his phone and shows me the chat in the morning between him and Mutala, where Mutala says, and so he refused, or he was, he was in denial. He said, no, it's not possible. I said, bro, this is what I'm receiving. Let's just wait. So we all start, asking questions, going to ask other people, checking out our various forms to find out, and it's confirmed. Something I'm broken. I'm shaking. I mean, speaking to you right now about it is so surreal because I knew Dr. Samuel Sapon. He sent me a message about a week before this tragic incident. And I've known him since his days as KMA boss. And we've had a very mutually respectful relationship. I mean, he's much older, yes, but he always saw me as a younger brother. And so every night, I read a conversation and all that. So if you ask me how I'm feeling something, I'm not feeling. We are all in a maze of sorts. It doesn't make sense. I've known Omani Boama since 2005, thereabouts, when he joined the CJ demonstration, the Wahala demonstrations, and eventually became who he became when Dr. Mills and President Mahama became president the first time. We've had a interesting relationship. Omani Boama and I had this thing where every time we meet, we're like working for you, and we'll laugh over it. We had our own reason that we said working for you. If you remember that line for President Mahama then was working for you. So it's hit me like it hit everybody else. I really don't know what to say. I don't know how to go about it. I don't know how to process it using your word process. Captain, forgive my French, but it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, so we all know you. We know how fluent you are. You have a gift of the gab, and now you're struggling even to find the words. Just like you, when the news came, and because there are people I can reach any minute I wanted, so what I did was to send messages. Yeah. And they are not people that when we are sharing messages, it takes long. Even if we are in meetings and you see the other's message, you give a response to tell them that you're in a meeting, you get back. I waited, and there was no reply. And then the chief of staff came to confirm. So what's the biggest message you would like to send across on this occasion?
Captain, I say this on my show every time. Let's make love, not war. Let's make love, not war. Look, regardless of our differences in tribe, in religion, in politics, at the end of the day, we are human beings. We are the same people. We should let the wahala on our differences and promote what binds us. Because here we are, if you want to criticize it, it is envy. If you want to go religion, it is Christians and Muslims who are cast. Really, what is that? Can we be a bit more gentle on each other, a bit more tolerant, more understanding? Because I am broken, Charlie. I'm broken. Mutala was what, 50 or 51 or thereabouts, or Mani was about 50 or going on.
Yeah, Mutala 51, or Mani 50, we are age mates, yeah.
Exactly. So these are, as we say in the local, you'll understand that what has happened is tragic. And their poor wives, children, mothers, fathers, maybe this should be a call sign to all of us that that's why Galant has brought us. Because they were going to inaugurate a program that had to do with illegal mining and how this all of us should begin to look at the fight at Galant as a collective instead of politics, instead of manipulating locally.
Okay. Did we lose Kwame?
I don't know what the man told his wife the day he left. Muntala, I beg your pardon. Muntala and Adegoka, Samson. Adegoka. And we take these things for granted. And so sometimes you ask yourself, what is all this about? What is all this about? This young sergeant who apparently got married only in, July 5 back here. The poor wife, what should she do? How did he take it? The flying officer's wife is a naval officer. Can you imagine the grief they're going through? So for me, it's devastating. It's a sad day. And I only hope that we'll reorient our thinking towards the issue of illegal mining and how we address it. It's a clear and present danger. They didn't have to take the lives of these 8 people. I earlier heard Professor Abuchi talk about the Galant 8. They didn't have to take the Galant realization. And it's a challenge.
Okay. Before you take leave of us, as someone who has been in this field for many years, done it very successfully, what will you say to the media and the media's coverage, particularly on the very day, beyond the day when the president had constituted these, teams to go to the various homes of the fallen heroes, how the media covered those as well? What do you have to say?
Samson, first of all, I think that all of us should bear President Mahama up in prayer. He must be the most broken person in spite of our collective grief. These are 2 people he trust left. He must complete. And we should bear it's not that tough for him. Now, also, we look at all the others. We should bear them all up in prayer because we focus on Dr. Boama, Dr. and the efforts of this as well. Let us all up in prayer. Moving on to that, the meat, we have done not bad, except that this issue of social media and private and regular space. So we need worry and it. But some paranoia also exists. So I have to about fix them why you're asking what you're asking. How to regulate generally, especially when it comes to like how to all the fact that fortunately they were spotted due to backs who sacked are responsible. All of them. But if you ask if they have should exhibit that a form of professional judgment. And so far done, you get it smile. And this is all you can expect that you've done. And for me, as journalists or as broadcasters or media people, this is the best you can do. It's a national fight. And all of us are united. It is not a politics thing, but to answer your question again, as media, I think that like for a few areas where sure I don't want to talk about because But I would appreciate we slow down the picture of story. I'd rather focus on what it is that all of us have put our minds that we are seeing our brothers who have passed on into glory in such a gory manner. That is how, but I'll give the media thumbs up in spite of the infractions that you and I know about in terms of ethics.
All right, Kwame, thank you so very much. Kwame Safakai, host of Kokroko on Peace FM, thank you very much. So for those of you who are still circulating some of those footages, I don't know why you want them and why you are circulating them. Please, kindly delete them. Delete them even from the internet. Those who have footages that we don't want to talk about, that you have, that you are sharing around and putting all over the place. Think about it yourself. If you knew these people closely, if they were your relation, would you want this to be on the internet? Think about the harm you are doing to their, relations who are going through this very difficult time. They are little children. Please, if you are keeping them on your phones, you don't need them, please. Delete them. After the Communication Ministry issued a statement pleading with all of us to take them down, people are still circulating them. Dr. Kwame Akufo-Addo, former Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Company Corporation, GBC, actually raised an issue with this and reminded us of the ethics, that speed is not everything. Right temperament is everything. So in the traditional media too, let's be very sensitive. You go into the homes of the relatives of these fallen heroes, and people are grieving, and you can't take your microphones away from them. You can't take your cameras away from them. They are genuinely grieving, and you're actually blocking them because you want to cover more of the grieving. What's that about? Anyway. Okay, so we come to the studio to finish. Sorry, Abochi, Professor Abochi, you will have the last word as our guest joining us via Zoom. And I was asking about the one thing that is on your mind that has to be done.
Well, it's important for us to appreciate the fact that we stand in a very difficult moment of history as a country. We would have to decide, we're at a crossroads. We have to decide whether it is business as usual, whether it is just a footnote in our history, or whether it will represent a major chapter. I would argue that this should represent a major chapter. These people have paid with blood. They paid with their lives, never to get it back again. We do not have to exercise the option of treating this as yet another chapter, another aspect of the business as usual attitude that we've demonstrated towards this. We have criminal laws in our Criminal Offences Act. We have criminal prohibitions in our Environmental Agency Act. There are rules already existing. We don't even need to go to Parliament, which actually criminalizes environmental degradation, which criminalizes the pollution of our water bodies and water sources. We would have to implement these. We do not have to constantly do the political calculus and ask ourselves whether a person involved is politically connected. So that if it's politically connected, well, we don't have to enforce the law that we have to enforce. We have treated environmental crime as if it's a sub-crime. Environmental crime is a regular crime, and it has to be implemented as such. So I would like to urge that as this has presented itself something of a brutal opportunity, brutal and a sordid opportunity, for which people have lost their lives, this should be a moment of national awakening. It should be a moment of national reckoning. The United States had 9/11, and it redefined how it approached the treatment of terrorism. The United Kingdom and other countries have had their moments of national awakening and reckoning. And these should represent a new chapter for us to now show a new collective resolve that this grief we have suffered, this tragedy we have suffered and endured, this moment in our national chapter should represent a clean slate, which should demonstrate our resolve never to tolerate again. Because some people in their quest to make money at all costs would decide to poison the entire country, would decide to, as it were, endanger our lives, our food chain, our water bodies, and our water sources. And because these persons might have sort of financed political enterprises over the years, political actors will now have to look beyond that, to look beyond, if you like, those shackles, the shackles of political financing, by reason of which the Nanado government, many will argue, paid a price for not fully going against Galamsey, by reason of which some people continue to question, even the current, in terms of fully, going against Galamsey. The sheer price that the current president has paid, somebody he deeply, deeply trusts, has been lost. And his key officers have died to this. I'm confident that the president is going to come out of this a different person. And I'll be delighted to see that different entity of the president that will see the people who have to pay the price will no more have to be the average Ghanaian, but the criminal corporates indulged in Galamsey.
Help me, I want to be sure about this. You're a member of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey?
I am, yes.
You're also a member of the One Ghana movement. Both bodies have issued statements. And in the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey statement, they say that the bloody price paid should imply that as a country, the persistence of the menace can no longer be tolerated. As a demonstration of our utter disenchantment, the coalition hereby with immediate effect call on the media and all Ghanaians to stop calling illegal and irresponsible mining as Galamsey, but rather as environmental crime perpetrated by environmental criminals to reflect the reality of the forces opposing the good of the environment. And then among the demands that they make, they say there's a need for targeted state of emergency to apprehend the forces persistently fueling this environmental crime and gradually bringing our country to its knees. Targeted state of emergency. Can you explain that briefly, finally, for us?
Well, I think this is a calibrated request, and the reason is because it appears that the question of declaring a state of emergency has garnered some political controversy over the period, and the coalition doesn't want to get bogged down once again in the controversy. Some people have argued a cost-benefit analysis, saying that declaring a state of emergency generally, either in the whole region or in a whole district, or even in the whole Ghana, on Galamsey, could be too costly. The issue of timelines, the issue of thresholds, and some other issues are things that may not have been necessarily evaluated over the years. So to avoid the loss, the potential loss that Ghana may suffer if we declare a state of emergency to our national life, to avert that, we should just not declare it. So this call is calibrated to reflect that concern, essentially urgent that maybe we can have a targeted state of emergency. And a targeted state of emergency could involve targeting the specific subject matter involved, targeting the specific area involved, targeting the personalities involved. We may even have to declare a state of emergency for particular entities. So this one is just to reflect the distinction between the generality of state of emergency declared either in an area or affecting a particular enterprise, as opposed to a more nuanced but carefully defined and calibrated state of emergency dealing with this.
Okay. This statement is signed by Kenneth Ashigbe, Professor M.A. Akodugu, Senyo Hosi, and Darrell Bosu. And I refer to the One Ghana movement statement also. And in a part of that statement, they say the movement urges the government to support the bereaved families and hereby calls for the institution of a government-funded group life insurance policy to cover the dependents of government appointees. We must protect the families of those who elect to serve our country. This should be where I get your final comment on.
Yes, I absolutely support that from one Ghana as well. But I would like to add, I'll hasten to add very quickly, if you allow me, Samson, the fact that I think as a country, and I'm sure perhaps the government is thinking about that, maybe we should consider the day, I'm talking about the 6th August, we should consider that day a day of national commemoration, perhaps a day of patriots or a day of the environment, but some commemoration in remembrance of the people who have paid the ultimate price.
Okay.
But also as an opportunity to reflect on how the environment could cost us all.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I come to the studio, but we take a quick break before we do that. A couple of messages I share with all of you who are joining us, watching us all over the country and even beyond the country. Kwame Selu-Sapon says, 6 years ago, I warned on your show about the potential risk of Galamsey. Now it has poisoned our rivers, sickened our people, and now it has taken lives, including those of government officials and serving officers. In this, I lost a friend. How did we allow the very guardians of our nation to be swallowed by the disaster we could have prevented? Was it greed? Was it negligence? Or was it simply that we did not care enough until it was too late? This is not just an environmental crisis. It's a national betrayal. Every life lost is a question we must answer. The time is now to rid this country of a predictable disaster that has become an albatross. Atabedu says that, imagine if you were Muntaka, and I'm sure most of you have heard the story of Muntaka. The Ashanti Region Minister tells us, who did a yeoman's job on this occasion, tells us about how Muntaka was supposed to be part of this trip. And I think something happened. So he actually called him to ask him to arrange for a vehicle or something. That was Radha Mutala, I think he was talking about. But Muntaka was actually supposed to be on this trip. And it was at Tuforsen, the finance minister, who said he needed Muntaka at the time he wanted to move. And so he refused to allow him to go because we were going to have a meeting in which the Interior Ministry needed to be represented to help him at Tuforsen to be able to articulate what needed to be done. That's how come Muntaka didn't join that flight. So it appears Mutala, who was going to take a commercial flight to Kumasi, where he would have been received by the Ashanti Regional Minister, and then they drive to this event, then had to now be called to join this chopper because there was one space that had been created. So Atabedu said, imagine if you were Muntaka, who is said to have been aboard but was literally dragged out by Atuforcing. What would you do or how would you feel? Escaping death by a hair's breadth. Let's get psychological support for all of them. And if you were watching from the Jubilee House when the announcement was being made or was being confirmed, I'm sure some of you caught a glimpse of Muntaka, or almost everybody there, you know. Okay, so I'll take a break. I'll return quickly. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Still, Misaka, and Nemum was a summer brabo, and it can afford Swabrabo.
Misaka pensions, Carol.
Misaka or the Sika. Misaka insurance.
Misaka loan.
Momo fogusuri ye echumaden. Di aboye nyina ye sika ho ban. Se MTN ana momo jumaye ni befrewa or the 0244 300,000 ene befrew. Na numpo orin bitsaw one time password ana se upin code enti wonso ye wa femu die na ma weni na ho na wonsa enka omumu.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
Having gone to Translight Solar, really, it's been one wonderful experience. Since the system was installed in my house, my daytime could be somewhere around 20 cedis. And so I've seen a marked reduction in my bills. And because of that, I'm not paying as much as I used to do when I was relying solely on the national grid. My house has now become the city on the hill. With this current doomsaw, anytime my area is off, my house is well lit. Everything is on point. And I can get as much as 13 to 14 hours with my ACs and everything working perfectly well. So I can say, as for Translight, they are the truth, the way, and the light. You have to speak to Translight today. In fact, speak to them now, right now.
Translight Solar. Translight Solar.
Welcome to the McLean Air Series. I am Joe McLean, your guide to the smoky, dusty, cloudy, choky side of life. Today we are visiting some places that pop with pollution. Let me mask up. Vehicle fumes have taken over the air, and soon this place will find it hard to breathe. According to the World Health Organization, as many as 28,000 people die every year in Ghana from air pollution. You live here, you breathe dirtier air than the whole of Accra. Look, let me show you. What an irony. No burning here. No one is truly safe. Even the posh areas are not spared from the smoke. Look, we can't ignore this. Do something. Call 057-972-4072 or send WhatsApp. You can also speak to your assembly so we all can breathe freely.
This message was brought to you by Infinity 970 with support from Breathe City.
Now let me tell you why you should choose Safari Valley as your conference destination.
The new conference building combines modern amenities with the tranquility of nature, providing the perfect backdrop for your next seminar and corporate retreat.
The only conference destination with so many activities. You don't have to travel to visit your tennis club, the gym, or the stables. They have it all.
Enjoy this rooftop viewing deck, basking in the sunlight with the sight of wild animals roaming freely in their natural habitat.
At my break, I'm able to practice my putting.
It's a unique experience that sparks creativity and rejuvenates the mind.
Visit Safari Valley Eco Resort in Ghana, bringing you closer to nature.
As a young mom, you're not always sure that you're doing it right. Choosing a baby care product for your child can sometimes be difficult. I choose BabyMed Hypoallergenic Skincare products, specially formulated to suit my baby's fragile and sensitive skin. A complete range of products that makes every bath time a moment of tenderness and well-being. BabyMed, baby-specific care products.
Yeah, Bungo. Hey, again.
Hello, thank you for calling MTN.
Yeah, this is Jerry, Jolly J for short.
Hi Jerry, how may I help?
These days, I'm not happy with you guys at all.
What you guys do is not cool, crowd.
How do you mean, sir?
You've been giving Bongo gifts all the time.
Who is Bongo?
Oh, Bongo, my friend. He purchased in my room. You don't know Bongo.
Oh.
You've been giving free gifts, but I don't. That don't be gift is him.
That's MTN rewards, sir. You can also get freebies because on MTN, doing always gets rewarded. Doing more of the things you love. Talk, text, browse, and more, and you get to redeem free call time or data by simply dialing *550#.
Oh, sir.
Yes, and on Fridays, you can even get extra special rewards like food vouchers, shopping discounts, and much more.
Didn't tell me anything, no. He will move out. Doing gets rewarded, eh? Hey, but your voice is really nice, so. Would you like to know how I got the name Jolly J?
That won't be necessary, Mr. Jolly. Calling customer care service doesn't give you points.
I'm gonna call my mom. I'll call my grandma. I'll call my ex. That girl can talk, Papa. Hello, Mama. So what's the topic for today?
MTN.
So, Charlie, the deal there, I almost get her.
Syntax pipe, as tough as it can get.
You get so sorry with your back, sorry. Oh, what are you are something? What the cat never won. You can catch it. Hey! Now I'm pipe.
Between and Kafai and Cabo.
Hey, madam, pipe, man.
I syntax pipe. Metono, Omukacham send a one day pa. Say a fee, say a foam. The other pipe we be a yen gum.
Syntax pipe.
Why, Eliki?
Hi, madam. From today, syntax pipe in my pipe. No two ways.
When you know, pipe Ben Abe use
SINTEX pipe.
Syntax pipe.
In a water. No, hala.
Hi, now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park.
Our electric shuttle pulled up, and in no time, our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the Eco Park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat, undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown crane, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults? This price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It's been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
When it comes to your kitchen, don't settle. At Safety and Home Solutions, we combine European-made aesthetics with premium materials built to last. Every cabinet, drawer, and finish is crafted for both beauty and durability, made to handle real life every day. What makes us different? We custom design your kitchen to fit the exact space. No guesswork, no one-size-fits-all, just clean lines, smart storage, and the layout just fits how you live. And once you approve the design, installation is smooth and fast. No delays, no stress. Our in-house team handles everything with precision and care. Visit us at Safety and Home Solutions Kitchens on Spintex Road opposite the DBLA Ultra Center and start designing the kitchen you deserve.
Miss VIP Magnetic Perfumes.
Military officers are joined by some civilians who put on protective gear as they ready themselves for the challenge ahead. The difficult task of searching for the wreckage of the crashed helicopter from the belly of the thick Dampier forest is an uphill task. The search, which enters day 3, is in fulfillment of the government's quest to delve into the bottom of circumstances surrounding the crash, which claimed the lives of 8 persons, including 2 cabinet ministers, on board the military helicopter en route to Obuasi from Accra on Wednesday. President Mahama, in a televised broadcast on Thursday, confirmed the recovery of both the flight data recorder and cockpit audio recorder, vital components of the aircraft in assisting investigations. But experts hope to retrieve portions of the crashed helicopter wreckage and some other evidence, including personal belongings of victims at the scene. Member of Parliament for the Akrofom constituency, Joseph Azuma, has been courting the support of nearby communities to aid the search.
Those who pick something from or anything from the incident site, so that they'll bring them back. We were watching news yesterday, and that one concern was that some who first visited the scene picked some, let's say, pieces off. So it was something that we thought wise to come and talk to them, do announcement, so that if there was something they picked from the scene, they can return it to also assist for the investigation that they need to conduct.
Despite the local collaboration, farmers say they are being denied access to their farms as the investigative team cordons off portions of the forest.
You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform, and my guest ending the show with us this afternoon, Bafo Ajimandria, Festus Abuaje, Hassan Tampoli, and Pet Paul Wepeba. So I'm coming to you now. You had the concern raised by Colonel Festus Abuaje, retired, and you also issued a statement as the Academy of Forensic Sciences. Yeah. In this situation, this is an accident. What else could have been done? You saw the military officers in the town. This is a cocoa growing town. So they are collecting sacks.
Yeah.
So what else could they have done?
Right. I think the emergency response team on this occasion failed to manage this situation or crisis properly. Alluding to what Kedal Abuaje said, it's a team, and I know for a fact that every NADMO district office has a hold of body bags, all right? And the fact that the news was transmitted to the team, on the program grounds, moving to the crash site could have, been managed or arranged in such a way that they would go with the Ghana Fire Service, they would go with the National Ambulance Service, the police, the military, because it's a team, they work in concert. And knowing what, information that is being given to you, you cannot go there without body bags and then just go collect, sacks from the community and use it on this purpose. The reasons why we're saying they have failed is that aviation forensics is a very complex one. The parts of the wreckage can actually even tell when the helicopter crashed or went down. If it broke mid-air, the distance traveled by the debris can't be able to give an information about that. If there was a collision mid-air, the distance traveled by the pieces could also tell a lot about that. If there was a structural failure mid-air, this could also give a lot of information about that. And then if the explosion resulted from the impact on the ground, the distance traveled by the pieces could also give a lot of information. So being, emergency team, the best they could have done was to have cordoned the place. That was the first thing to have done. You coordinate and make sure the crime scene is not disturbed, because in this sense, it is a crime scene and it's a mourning environment.
By the time they got the townsfolk were already picking debris, running away with them.
Yes,
some had been called to bring them back. Somebody just returned the watch. Like
yes, I'm coming to that part. This part is in relation to the bodies, the dignity of the bodies at the scene. But if you talk of crime scene management in this country, it is a disaster, because it isn't only the scene. If there happen to be a crime scene outside right now, a lot of people will troop to the scene, contaminating the scene and incriminating themselves, because they're going to leave their own biological material at the scene. Investigators will come, the evidence that they're going to
naturally collect. We like to help each other. So what is wrong? Getting into a crime scene?
Yes, they are,
is it a crime scene really? Yeah. An accident scene and seeking to help?
Yes, there are do's and don'ts in this train to do most of these things. Yes, so there are do's and don'ts about this. And if you read the second part of our statement, I want to have this national conversation of having a national forensic policy or strategy going forward, which would include education for the public to know what to do in situations like this, so that they don't incriminate themselves, they don't contaminate the crime scene, by way of trying to help.
A national education.
A national education as part of the national forensic policy. All right, we're going to
that would
have
be
a
useful,
discussion.
because as we understand, it took some of the journalists who got there a little early to tell the townsfolk to return some of the parts of the aircraft that they had taken.
Yes.
And also asking them to move away.
Yes.
Right.
And the reason why I said the place should have been cordoned is that the pieces that the villagers picked, when you're managing a crime scene, you want to take pictures of materials in situ where they have fallen originally.
They returned them.
They did return, but that will not serve a good purpose, because if you're going to use physics to be able to determine the impact, the direction of impact, all right, they took the part away, they're bringing it back, they cannot actually tell you where they picked it. So that cannot be helpful, even though it can help subsequently in the investigation processes. It wouldn't have been able to help, determine the direction.
You seem to have concerns also as a group that the remains are being taken to South Africa for examination.
Yes. Before I even come to that, just a quick one. The management of the bodies, as Colonel put it, one, if you put the bodies in a body bag, you have what we call biohazard or health and safety issues, because those that are going to carry the bodies, if there are body fluids that are going to leak, onto them and bystanders, and these body fluids have any pathogenic organisms, you're going to transfer it to them and they will subsequently spread it within the community. So that is a health risk. Again, if you're talking about maintaining chain of custody, if you put all of them together, you're not going to be able to tell where you found what, and you picked it, and that will be able to help in forensic analysis. Also, if you put the bodies in that sort of sack, it is going to help a lot of gases build within the bodies, all right, and that would further affect the measures that are going to be put in place to help identify the remains. And then finally, if you put all of these, pieces together, the bodies are fragmented, so you cannot tell whether this arm that is lying here is for person A, this feet lying here is for this person. You put all of them together, and when it happens to be mixed together, you find it very difficult to actually be able to interpret your DNA results. And that is one of the reasons why the samples have been sent to South Africa, because there's a difference between regular or normal paternity or maternity testing and forensic DNA testing. Because in forensic DNA testing, you have a mixture of, material, body fluids. So you have to be able to use a lot of advanced technology to determine whose DNA profile is this and whose DNA profile is this, and that is why it's difficult. But if it's a normal paternity or maternity testing, you take a fresh sample from a child and the mom and the father, it is very plain. You compare and see, do they match? If they match, that is it. But for this, it's difficult because the bodies are mixed up. So if you put them in a sack, you're also going to, help make it difficult for those who are going to interpret the DNA results. And the reason why they sent the samples to South Africa is because of lack of capacity building locally. We have the expertise, all right? The Ghana Academy of Forensic Sciences, we have...
I don't understand. You have the expertise, then you say lack of capacity building. What lack capacity are you talking about?
The logistical and structural capacity, but the human resource we do have. So we have the human resource, but we don't have the capacity to be able to do that. Currently, the Ghana Police Crime Lab, they have certain genetic analyzers which could have been used to do this. But under the circumstance, we have Muslim brothers and all of that in there. We want to have the remains identified as soon as we can, so we can bury them. If you're going to use traditional methods for the identification, it will take time. But if you go to a place where they have these advanced methods like next generation sequencing and all of that, it becomes fairly easy to undertake the process on time. But Ghana hasn't invested in that area, so that is why I want to have this argument or this discussion to bring on board government that we have the human resource. All we need is this to be able to help maintain that. Not to cut you short, it isn't only human identification. Over the years, we've been having fire outbreaks, market fire outbreaks and all of that. The fire service would go there, they gather the evidence and all of that. You need forensics, you need, forensic chemistry to be able to determine the component that you recover from the scene or from the seat of the fire. If you just collect them and you cannot determine the composition, it is of no use. They send it out, it can be done here. But we can do it if we have the, the logistical...
Prof, the president cautioned that, well, naturally, everybody's inquisitive and questions are being thrown left, right, center. But we should all be calm, and that he said the investigation will be transparent, and then in the end, will be informed accordingly. Do you have faith that the military conducting the investigation will help us?
I've heard some people suggesting a kind of an independent body doing that because of the concern or perhaps the fear that since this involves a military craft, there could be some self-interestedness in that. That has been the concern. But generally, I would say that we can credit the Ghana military with some kind of decency in the ways they conduct themselves. I do not expect that because they're involved, they will camouflage or they will kind of falsify information to that effect. But Samson, let me pick on quickly what my good friend Tampuli said earlier, because this is what has come to haunt us. You may remember that about 2 months ago, our late departed friend, Omani Boama, as Minister of Defense, made a point. I don't know if he said that the presidential jet is not fit for purpose. It's rusted. You remember that?
Yeah, it's being grounded somewhere.
Precisely. And that brings us to the point that my good friend made. Kufuor's time, when he decided to bring in 2 aircrafts, there was a rebuttal by the general population. Then one of them came, the other, President May, canceled it. During the Kufuor's time, he also came out saying that, look, what we have is not fit for purpose. It's not for me, it's for the nation. Again, he was rebutted. I had the opportunity to visit a Ghana Air Force base. I inspected for the first time. Somebody took me around to see the presidential jet. Not fit for purpose. So I'm glad that Omane Boama, who raised this issue, unfortunately is gone, but that issue must come back to life. We still have a president, we're going to have presidents, we have top officials.
The presumption is that there was a problem with this aircraft, but that's not determined yet.
The one that crashed?
Yes.
That's a different story. I'm talking generally about the need. It's need retooling. But I'm talking about the need for effective, efficient, at least 2 aircrafts for the Air Force to ferry our presidents and top officials.
No, at 3 different levels. As we understand, the standard is that there should be 6 aircrafts each.
Correct. That's the top.
3 different levels.
I agree.
Right.
I agree.
6
even
each
the
basic.
2 we don't have. And now we are being told we have only 1 helicopter. So certainly.
You show the number.
And that's why the president is traveling around in a private jet, you know. And that certainly is unbecoming of a country like Ghana.
But are you surprised that the police got 3 not long ago? 3 helicopters. Where have they been?
Have you heard about them since they arrived?
Have we heard about? I think I saw one.
It looks like there's something we have to know, right?
We have to find out. Okay. So anyway, that is one big thing we need to look at. Then, which means that we have to have a political consensus on what is truly national. It's not partisan.
That's right.
When you have a presidential jet, it's not NDC and PP. It's for the state. And our state officials must function effectively. Suddenly, the president can be invited to Nigeria, for ECOWAS, to anywhere. He should be able to fly. That is a must. So please, let's put this partisanship aside and concentrate on what we can. Those who argue that we don't have enough hospitals, what do you spend 500?
It's actually a problem, is it not, Colonel, that he's been traveling on his brother's jet.
That's a different story. In the absence of anything, it's not tidy, but in the absence of an official plane, there must be something for him to travel. Whether we have to change it or not is a different story. But now he has to travel.
Okay.
The second point is this lack of partnership between the civilian and the military control towers. Okay, traffic control. Because from what I understand, if there was that partnership, and since the Air Force has a forward team in Kumasi, NWA, and elsewhere, once any Ghana Air Force helicopter or plane takes off, it will be closely monitored by the military traffic controllers. We don't have that. The air traffic controllers, civilians, they are mainly for commercial flights. But you see, Air Force is not just for going to war and softening the ground for the ground troops to move.
So you're saying they are not able to monitor from point of departure to point of arrival?
Correct.
Which they should have a capacity to do.
Correct, which they should, because in this case, if there was an Air Force monitor in Kumasi, closest to the site, I'm sure communication could have taken place earlier. And even if it failed, they'll be the first to know, to ask for the second flight, like we were saying, to quickly move in to secure the place.
So as it is now, until the black box has been analyzed,
we wouldn't know exactly what happened.
And as we understand, the black box is very difficult to analyze. It takes a process, and it must go to the manufacturer.
There you go.
Or some other, institution.
Process.
And it could take a long time. So it has to go to China.
Yeah.
It's not
China will not be happy if it goes to the States. So this is not the aircraft.
Okay.
It was not manufactured.
Okay.
Manufactured in France and China.
So, right. So if Prof is done, I'll take your concluding comments as we draw the curtains. Yes. I'll come to you.
And the final point, by the way, I'm stressing on the need for partnership between the civilian and the military aircraft traffic controllers. The final point, you asked about what we need to do for our heroes. Well, one can say maybe the site where it occurred, but that's a 2 miles walk in the bush. I don't think anybody will go and visit that place. Maybe name some very national edifice to honor them. But I think the best way to honor them is what Tony Edu said, Dr. Edu said earlier. Galamsey, they died for Galamsey, so we need to come together and stop it. I think that would be the best honor we can give to this.
He's actually surprised that the president has not declared a state of emergency over the Galamsey yet. Yes,
maybe it will come. Maybe it will come soon.
Still, I don't want to go into the area of Galamsey and so on. But you and I, all of us, will be aware of the quantum of disinformation, misinformation, conspiracy theories.
That's right.
The fact is that, as of now, we don't know what the cause of the crash was, or the causes were.
Right.
We know the manner of the accident that it crashed. So until we have definitive evidence as to what brought the aircraft down. I think all of us, in good decency, must stop, spreading all manner of, some of these disinformation, misinformation.
You have the last word.
To the memory of those who have departed.
Thank you,
Samson. I think the best legacy that we can give to the memory of these fallen heroes, led by the President of the Republic, first of all, is for the President to revoke LI 2462. Like, there should be an immediate revocation of LI 2462, mining in forest reserve. Secondly, the President should declare a state of emergency as soon as possible. Look, there's been so much talk about Galamsey. We don't need to even have any conversation about it again.
Right.
That has been said. Thirdly, I think there should be a parliamentary inquiry to establish the cause of, the crash and to make appropriate recommendations to forestall.
Thank you also very much, gentlemen. And my outfit, as always, is by Konatic Clothing. You can call them 0244676732. I'm Samson Ladianyani, my guest, who stayed through till now, Hassan Tampuli, MP Gushon, and Deputy Ranking Member, Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament, Colonel Retired Festus Sabwaji, is author, conflict and security analyst. Dr. Pet Paul Wepeba is president, Ghana Academy of Forensic Sciences. Also, we've had Professor Bafo Ajmandia, former UN Senior Governance Advisor. Have a good afternoon. And in this evening, please, let's all find our way to the forecourt of the State House. That will be a time of some memory, sharing reflections, if you can. There are some of you I know, some of us I know, you just can't stand being in public and getting exposed over what you go through, the trauma you suffer as a result of this. The show was also brought to you by Bank of Africa, as strong as a group and close as a partner. MTN everywhere you go. Ashesi University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 plus years. My Way Insurance, dial *165# on MTN to join My Way today. Syntex Tanks, it's strong, it's tough. Activa International Insurance, our clients are passion. International Facilities Management Association is also proud to be associated with Newsfile. And Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature. Have a good afternoon.
Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner. Where Duraplas goes, water flows.
PS Industries has introduced a new roofing system known as ColorLink Plus.
Flamingo paint, simply superior. Syntex tank, are you strong? Are you tough? Cherry Tree Properties. We develop spaces as though we were going to occupy them.
Well, thank you very much for the warm applause, welcoming all of us to this very beautiful auditorium, named Engineering Auditorium University, also known as Scuba Play, we are bringing to you the 6th edition of the Energy Commission Senior High School's Renewable Energy Challenge for the year 2025. And this afternoon, we're here to witness the Southern Zone competition. One more time, if you're excited to be with us, please put your hands together for your own selves and make some noise as well. Although we're happy and excited to be here, on the 6th of August, which was a Wednesday, we heard a bad news. The crash of a helicopter that caused the death of 8 Ghanaians, 8 fine gentlemen, 2 cabinet ministers. At this point in time, please let's all stand to observe a minute silence in their memory. And whilst we stand and observe that minute silence, please feast your eyes on the monitors as well. I'm told that we have something special put together in their memory. May their souls rest in perfect peace. Please take your seats. Well, like I said a while ago, we're here this afternoon to witness the 6th edition of the Energy Commission Senior High Schools Renewable Energy Challenge for the Southern Zone. I'll be informing you about the schools that will be doing the competition this afternoon in a bit. But let me take this opportunity to introduce to you a few very special people we have with us this afternoon. To begin with, please put your hands together for Mrs. Eunice A. Luchu, Acting Executive Secretary, Energy Commission. Thank you very much for your presence. God will bless you. He'll be joining us in a bit. The name is Dr. William Amankra, Regional Director for the Ghana Education Service. We also have Engineer Richard Ado Kemfi, Regional Director, Ghana TV Service. Please put your hands together for him. Mr. Kissinger, Johnny, Senior Admissions and Enrollment Officer at Sheffield University. He's also here, one of our proud sponsors. Please put your hands together for him as well. Mr. Prince Charles, we have Director of Schools and Institutions, Ghana Education Services Headquarters, Accra. He's also here with us this afternoon. Please a round of applause for him. Let me also acknowledge Sarah Frida Ade, Headmistress, Akosobo International School, SHS, representing the Acting Chief Executive Board, River Authority, also a proud sponsor. Mr. Julius Nkansenya, Senior Manager, Energy Commission and Project Coordinator, is also with us this afternoon. Thanks very much, Julius, for your time. Let's also acknowledge the presence of all regional STMIE coordinators. They are here with us this afternoon. Where are they? Please stand so we can appreciate your presence as well. Thank you very much for joining us. At this point in time, I'd like to go through the list of schools that will be doing battle this afternoon. Hantaman Girls Senior High School, they are here this afternoon. Please show them some love for me. Galant Senior High School is here. Asenman Senior High School is here. Presec Boys, they are here. Presec Latte, Bia Senior High School, and the Senior High School, and the Boko School. Let me invite to the microphone Engineer Richard Ado JP, Regional Director, Ghana TV Services, to give to us a welcome address. Please show some love with a round of applause.
Thank you, Dave. Good morning to everyone. Good morning to everyone. Good morning. Right. I'm here this morning to deputize my Director General. My boss wishes to be here this morning to participate in this year's event. but has been engaged in equally important assignment in Accra and asked me to convey his message. I believe that this morning my assignment is a very simple one. I've been asked to give a welcome address. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Executive Secretary, Energy Commission, esteemed judges, all protocol observed. I am honored this morning to welcome you to this year 6th Energy Commission Senior High School Renewable Energy Challenge under the theme Sustainable Energy for a Future, a Healthier Future. You would agree with me that the theme perfectly captures the essence of this event. We live in a country where we rely on fossil fuel. We produce and consume energy that deeply affects not only our environment, but our health and well-being. So if we gather here to mobilize innovative ideas, how best we can exploit and transit to renewable energy, I believe that is a worthy cause which each and everyone needs to support. That is why Ghana TVET Service, we have been a partner in this enterprise. Today, on behalf of my director, we wish all the participants success. At the end of the day, we believe that the best institution wins. On that note, once again, I welcome you to Kumasi. Thank you very much.
Well, he's the regional director, TVET Ashanti. Engineer, please join me. Don't leave me yet. Engineer, join me. I just want to ask you one simple question. His name is Engineer Richard Adojemfi. So, you've given us a welcome address. I just want to know from you what your expectations are. These young minds are going to wow us, but I just want to know from you what your expectations are this afternoon.
My expectations, last year I was here at the same platform. There's a lot of things that we discuss at this platform. I'm expecting that at the end of the day, after our students exhibit their talent, after they have come out with these brilliant ideas, what next? I believe that going forward this year, we need to put together a team, a team that will be looking at as to how we can at least commercialize one of these brilliant ideas, because we want to see the impact. It will not be the issuer story where every year we meet at this place, engineering auditorium, and our students will exhibit their talent, and at the end of the day, we want to see the impact, how the society will benefit out of some of these innovations. That is the most important. It is established that our boys are doing well. Last year you were here, Dave. You saw the kind of innovations, ideas that they demonstrated here, they exhibited here. But at the end of the day, we want to see that at least some progress has been made. So my expectation is that this year, after this event, and on the 7th in Accra, I think the organizers of this competition need to look at it, how they will put together a committee, and at least we get one of these ideas on market. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Richard Adojemfi, Regional Director, Ghana TVET Services. I'd like to welcome Mrs. Kisinga Jani, Senior Admissions and Enrollment Officer with Ashesi University, to give us a few words as well. Please show him some love by putting your hands together for Mr. Kisinga Jani, Senior Admissions and Enrollment Officer with Ashesi University, one of our proud sponsors. Good afternoon to you, Kisinga. We get to meet again, huh?
Welcome. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Right, so my name is Kissinger, Senior Admissions Officer at Ashesi University. And I must say I'm proud and honored to be here speaking on behalf of the university, a proud sponsor of the Renewable Energy Challenge. Now, I must say that I'm excited to be in this room among bright, young minds. And this is a reminder that the solutions that we seek to some of our present challenges are right in here in this room. They are not in the far distant future. They are being shaped right now in rooms like this with people like you. The theme for this year's challenge, Sustainable Energy for a Healthier Future, could not be more timely. Around the world, we are not only faced with climate change crisis, but we're also faced with increasing disparities in health. And I would like to remind you that these things are deeply connected, where households use unsafe fuel for cooking, or when our hospitals go dark due to unreliable electricity. The health and well-being of our communities are put at risk. Today at Ashesi University, our mission as an institution is the same as it was 2 decades ago, raising ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa with the courage and compassion to transform the continent. And today, as I look across the room, I see young innovators who have the courage and compassion not only to transform Ghana, but to transform Africa. And being here to support this great endeavor, I think you should give yourself a huge round of applause. As you may already know, Ashesi means beginning, and it's no coincidence that we have begun this journey with a commission to support platforms like this, and to support platforms like this where students not only learn about renewable energy, but they are building a future for it. To the finalists, I must say congratulations for getting this far. Your innovations and inventions, I must say, are more than impressive. They are essential. From the likes of biogas digesters, solar panel systems, this is a reminder that sustainability is not a luxury. It is a necessity. And we must make sure that it gets to every home, to every hospital, and to every child. But our responsibility goes beyond just innovations. We have to move towards implementation, towards policies, and towards equity. Because a sustainable future is not one with just a healthier future, but one that the benefits of sustainability gets to everyone, irrespective of their economic background or geographical location. And Ashesi University is proud to be with you on this journey. We are even more proud with what you have shown us so far. For somebody who is a true believer in sustainability, I must say that I take pride in the words of the Commission, securing Ghana's energy future today. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the very best.
Well, I'm sure we can do better with the applause for Mr. Kissinger Johnny, Senior Admissions and Enrollment Officer with Ashesi University. It's now time for us to present to you the keynote address. And who else can do this than for us to invite Mrs. Eunice A. Brichum, Acting Executive Secretary, Energy Commission, to address us at this point in time. And before she grabs the microphone, why don't you continue with the applause? It is the same institution has put together this beautiful competition, and we say thank you very much, Energy Commission.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone. The Regional Director, Ghana Education Service and staff, the Regional Director, Ghana TVET Service and staff, our sponsors present, Ashesi University and the Volta River Authority, distinguished members of the media, distinguished invited guests, heads and teachers of participating schools, Energy Commission staff here present, my dear students, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure to be here to join you today for the zonal competitions of the Energy Commission Renewable Energy Senior High Schools Challenge. This initiative, which started in 2019 in collaboration with the Ghana Education Service and the Ghana TVET Service, was designed to promote the utilization and practical application of renewable energy, clean energy, and energy efficiency technologies, and solutions among students in the second cycle institutions. Our education system has long relied on rote to learning, or what we call the chew, pour, pass, and forget phenomenon, often making it difficult for students to apply theories that they learn in school to solve real-world problems. This challenge seeks to bridge that gap by empowering students to turn their knowledge into real-world solutions that can benefit communities and the nation at large. This year marked my first experience with the Schools Challenge, and I must say that I have been extremely impressed by the outstanding performance of our students from the 120 schools that participated in the regional competitions. Their creativity and innovation were inspiring, and it is clear that our youth possess remarkable talent. A key objective of the Energy Commission is to go beyond the competition